Good morning. It is a Thursday edition of GCR. I am Glenn. He is Griffin. Our friend Melissa Kim is going to be with us here in a second. I guess I did not let her know that we were on camera for the show. And the dozens of YouTube viewers need to get Melissa at her best. Charles is here this morning as well. I still have to work on a nickname for Charles. I got it. That's going to be a priority for me while I'm gone. The hell with Disney World.
You got a full week.
Charles' nickname is going to be my priority for while I'm down there. I don't like Charles in charge. I need something
more original.
Yeah, something better than that. Hey, of course, Ravens-Bengals coming up on Sunday night. You should be winning some money. You can cash in on the Ravens-Bengals primetime wildcard game. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Sign up and bet $20 with Caesars Sportsbook and automatically get $100 in additional free bets. Just bet $20, get another $100 to play with. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers now to start winning. Coming up on the program today, Mike Golic is back with us. He will be doing Ravens-Bengals for Westwood One on Sunday night. Also, a little bit later on, we will make our picks for the week. KZ will check in. And Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chao, the former Chargers team doctor, now all sorts, basically everybody, I believe, in media he works for. And apparently he's still a doctor? Yeah. I didn't realize that. That was breaking news to me this week. Griffin's like, yeah, he can't do that day because he's got surgery that day. I'm like, he's having surgery? He's like, no, he's performing surgery. I was like, how the hell does he have time for all of these things? How is this possible? We're going to have him on today because we're going to dive into the what could this be side of it. Like, why are we here? Remember, we had Dr. Chao on the week of Lamar Jackson's injury, and he played out some various scenarios for us. Now, why are we at this point? What is going on now? What answers can we still get? So Dr. David Chao will join us for that. And then before we get out of here today, we will get to segment number 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show with special guest Kyle Hamilton. That's all coming up. Also, young Carson. We're gonna tease a new segment. We're gonna be starting with Charles later on in the program. And young Carson, I have sent him out on a field trip today to the chicken tender store that doesn't advertise with us, so we don't do that, right? But it's the new one that everybody's talking about that's come to Baltimore for the first time, and I've never experienced it before. So, and neither is Melissa. So I saw Melissa tweeting about it last night, and I said, we're sending Carson there today. We're going to experience it. We're going to find out if there's really anything to the chicken tender store that everybody's freaking out about. So at some point, hopefully, although, as Melissa pointed me out, it could be a 2-hour wait. I don't know. It's probably a complete-ass show today at the chicken tender store. But we will find out. We will send because you know me, I am a Royal Farms man. Everybody knows that about me. Royal Farms coffee is the one for me. Fresh and hot, it hits the spot. That's what I've always said. So we're just going to try. We're going to dip our toes in the water of the other chicken tender store and just find out what they're all about. So that's what's going on the program today. Melissa Kim from WBAL is here with us. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Oh, we
Thanks
are
for
all right.
having me.
It's great to see you. It is. It's long overdue. Melissa and I talked about this, I want to say 6 months ago.
That's okay.
And then I was like, oh, yeah, I'll get around to that. I'll get around.
Season is a thing.
It is. Can I just get you to slide up a little bit closer to that microphone, please? We are very unidirectional here in the.
That's cool with me.
So good to see you. All right, so let me do quick background, right? Like, for people that don't know, your background, why you're here, why you're not, like, ruling the world somewhere on ESPN right now, like, the whole deal. Give me that, like, the 2-minute version of the Melissa Kim background.
You want 2 minutes? My life in 2 minutes. Okay. For the Baltimore people, I went to high school and college here. I'm born and raised in LA, though, but my family moved here when I was a junior in high school.
Okay. Where?
I went to the Roland Park Country
Okay.
School. We are the sister school, of course, of
As I've
Memorial
told you,
Gilman,
I've told you before, my wife went to NDP,
Yep.
and I, of course, like a poor, I went to Perry Hall.
Stop. I am also a poor now.
So
I work in journalism.
oh God. So I always, whenever I talk to people in that world, all of a sudden I get very like, like it's just
It's an automatic, like, if you went to one of those schools, it's like, oh my God.
And
it's like, oh, like, you know what I mean? I've definitely gotten,
there is
like,
a lot of
both
that
sides.
going on.
I forgot what that world was like because I haven't lived here in almost 10 years.
And then where'd you go to college?
I went to Hopkins
Okay.
College, yeah. strong journalism program at Hopkins.
It's a known path directly from Hopkins
obviously.
into this field.
Obviously.
It's what
No,
most people
it's an
do.
adventure. No, I was a political science major. I was very interested in constitutional law at the time. Was wanting to perhaps clerk for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, R.I.P.
I mean, that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
God.
Yeah, so that was kind of the path that I was on, perhaps law school, and then I did an internship. And then the rest was the internship with Jerry Sandusky and Pete Gilbert, and the rest is history. You know, those guys are the ones that changed my mind about going to law school.
I like one of those guys, and you can get. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Everybody knows it's Jerry. I hate Pete.
Yeah,
All right.
obviously. No, but so then afterwards I moved to New York with all my best friends because we all wanted to be 21 and super cool.
You basically wanted,
New York,
and like you wanted to be like Lisa Kudrow and Matthew Perry. You wanted to live out.
Was that the reference? I was gonna say Gossip Girl, but I guess the reference now is Friends,
God. Well,
right?
for people our age,
Yeah, okay, fine.
and for that age, yes,
Fine.
maybe.
But yeah, I started in the business as an overnight assignment desk editor at a 24-hour cable station in the Bronx.
Okay.
Took the train by myself there at like 4 a.m. It was definitely a sink or swim. Like, are you gonna make it in the world experience? I'm still alive.
So you
still
got
with
that
us.
going
Right,
for you,
still with
right?
us. And then got my first honor job in Bangor, Maine, a budding metropolis of Bangor, Maine.
Boy, I didn't realize you were in all the sexy towns.
Yeah,
I had no
obviously.
idea.
Obviously.
Major star.
Bangor, Maine. I was there for about 3 years, and then I went to Birmingham,
What
Alabama.
percentage of the stories that you reported on were about lighthouses or lobsters?
Lobstermen are the richest people in Maine.
That sounds right. Yeah, that's. I mean,
Maine.
have you tried to purchase some
Yes,
lobster
exactly.
recently? That makes sense.
The best part about it was I was living there at a time where lobsters weren't that expensive. So take our paychecks. Either the choice today is Texas Roadhouse or lobsters, guys. Like which one do we do today?
That's a real tough.
I
It's
know.
a very difficult
I do
decision.
love Texas Roadhouse a lot though.
Yeah, right.
Big fan. Then I went to Birmingham, Alabama. My first year there was the Kick Six, greatest football game. of all time.
Chris Davis,
Mhm.
not the Chris Davis from the Orioles, just a
Right,
different,
there's another
completely different Chris Davis.
So that was awesome. So I was there for a little bit. Obviously, getting to cover Alabama and Auburn was major.
It doesn't suck, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of good.
I've heard rumors
It's kind
about
of
that.
Nick Saban, kind of an icon.
Yeah.
And then I went to Madison, Wisconsin. Cover the University of Wisconsin.
Lovely town,
Lovely
town, as
Madison,
I
that's right,
found
you were
out.
just
Yes,
there.
lovely town.
Covered them, the Packers, the Bucks, the Brewers. Coincidentally enough, I was there for Giannis's MVP season and also Christian Yelich's MVP season.
That's
so
cool.
I feel like now that I'm here, somebody else should get an MVP. Like I feel like I bring some good vibes. Like,
Well, you
right?
missed the MVP here by
know.
Way to go.
Just a
Way
little bit.
to
I
go
know,
with your
I know,
timing
I
on
know,
all
just
that.
a year
Way
or
to
so
go.
off. So I came back here in November of 2020 because my family obviously still lives here. And then
You took the circuitous route. You took the. I'm trying to. You're going that way and
I
down
know.
there
I
and
kind
then
of
a
went
little bit up
everywhere
there.
because I was like really open to like, hey, like I want to see everything and see experience all these different things.
Madison, by the way, legitimately a lovely
I
lovely
love how
town.
you loved Monroe though. Monroe is such a cute little
God,
town.
I love Monroe.
The Cheesemakers, their high school mascot is the Cheesemakers.
I was so all in on Monroe, Wisconsin. I met a guy named Justin who runs a place called The Local Joint. We wandered in on a Sunday morning to Monroe, Wisconsin, and everybody was at church. All the shops were closed in the town because everybody was at church, except for one. And it was a new shop, and this gentleman named Justin was just like, you guys want to crack some beers and sit around and chat? And so he just went into his fridge and started bringing us beers, and we just sat around and shot the S, and it was just a wonderful way to spend a Sunday morning in my life.
10 of the drunkest cities in the country
are all in.
I think 7 of them are in Wisconsin. 7 or 8 of them are in
I
Wisconsin.
love this place. This
right?
is my kind of place.
I lived like 3 blocks from Camp Randall, which is, for those that don't know, like the football stadium there for the college. And let me tell you, on home game days, tailgating starts at 6 a.m.
Yeah,
No joke.
that makes sense.
Like,
we missed out on a lot of that because our flight got us there like literally 5 minutes before the game. I mean, it was a nightmare, but we had a great time, except for the weather sucked and Maryland didn't score any points. Other than that, it was a wonderful experience at the football game. We were there for the game that Everlast came back.
Oh, you were there for that one,
That they ended up doing a sports center.
Yeah,
they did
that was
they did
really
a whole
sweet.
segment about it. The great Everlast, who, by the way, starting to look his age, and I don't like that. That makes me think about how old I am. I don't care for
Age
those
is
things.
merely a number.
I understand that, but when I saw him, I was like, oh no.
Wear
Like,
sunscreen. Okay.
that is good advice. But yeah, that was cool. He was there, and we did the jump around, and then we proceeded to walk out. And we said,
that's pretty much it.
we've seen everything we need to see here today, and we left.
that was the game where you experienced like all 4 seasons of Wisconsin in one game.
Pure hell. Yeah, at one point the sun came out. We're like, wow, this is neat. And then that was gone. It was just pure rain, hail. My wife looked at me like, what are we doing here? They're down 20-0. I'm like, yeah, but we flew all the way out here.
Yep.
What are we going to go do instead?
Major props to your wife for putting up with all that and going.
Well, no. She screwed this up. We were supposed to go to New Orleans. She didn't realize she needed to take off the next day. Ravens, of course, were playing on Monday night in New Orleans. She said, well, we can just take a red-eye back, right? It's New Orleans. No, there aren't red-eye flights.
Hold on.
That doesn't exist. This is
zone.
correct.
Okay.
This is not. It's not going to work. So instead, we had to pivot, and we ended up in Wisconsin. But it was lovely. I had a great time. Melissa, of course, you hear on WBAL and see on WBAL TV as well, and she's been doing a lot of Ravens stuff. You do their game day broadcasts.
Yes, I do.
You've probably been dealing with all the same questions that we've been dealing with for the last few weeks.
The never-ending Twitter questions, emails, whatever, about even my friends actually, like that I still know from like college and high school and stuff like that. And like, hey, random text, like, hey, what's up with Lamar? Like, I don't know.
Guys,
like, you could. Why don't you tell me?
I mean, really, like this thought that everybody else on the planet doesn't know, but I do,
exactly.
is very funny to me.
My favorite though is like it'll be like literally like 10 minutes before kickoff. I'll get like a flurry of texts like, hey, should I take the over on J.K. Dobbins' yards? Say like, hey, how many balls? I'm like, listen.
Seriously. The good news is I know. They actually gave me the script beforehand.
Right,
I can't share
exactly how many carries
I know
JK 's
exactly
gonna have
what the
today.
plan is for the game. I did a hit with Veasan this morning, our friends out in Vegas, and I think you can see it on Masson. I did a hit with them, and like beforehand, the hosts are talking to me. They're like, okay, so tell me what really is going on. I'm like, guys, God bless. I understand what you're asking, but you don't think that like I'm just protecting information for some reason. I know definitively exactly what's going on.
Pays our paychecks?
Correct.
Like, come on, yeah.
So weird, man. It's such a weird feeling I have right now. Obviously, Lamar was not at practice yesterday, which we kind of expected after Ian Rappaport's report yesterday morning. We assumed that was going to be the case. And you see the line for the game shift. The assumption at this point is that Lamar's not going to play on Sunday. Tyler Huntley wasn't throwing at practice, but John Harbaugh says he's on track and should be ready to go on Sunday. So the expectation is that Tyler Huntley will play. We'll see how all that goes. This season has been so weird, right? Like you mentioned the 4 seasons that I got in Madison during one football game. It really has felt like 4 seasons of Ravens football all kind of packed into this one. Like it's hard to go back and remember that Lamar Jackson looked like the MVP of the league after the first month of the season. I don't even know if I said to you, can you describe what it's been like being so directly around the team this year? I have no idea how you would go about doing that.
I mean, it's been tough for sure. I think earlier this week I was kind of going through clips from earlier in the season. And do you guys remember in that game against the Jets, like he had that like no-look pass to Devin Duvernay?
Yeah, and
I
it was...
I was like, wow, that seems like a lifetime ago.
3 lifetimes ago.
It really does. Can I put into words? I mean, I suppose it has been extremely unprecedented. And... in some ways, it's kind of heartbreaking to see everything that has gone on, because as someone, who is around the team, I'm always going to be a players first kind of person, because at the end of the day, like, yes, I know this is a job.
I don't care for the players myself.
Well,
yeah,
really?
I wish them harm.
But like, it's a tough job, and you think about the injuries and everything involved with that. And I do kind of agree with what Coach Harbaugh said last Friday when he addressed like the whole injury situation right away, because it's tough when you think about injuries. Like I remember, I mean, I am nowhere near this caliber of athlete, whatever, but athletes or injuries that I had in high school playing like lacrosse or like whatever. And like, it is tough to know like when your body is like set, ready to go back if they want someone to be at 100%, you know what I mean? And you look at some of the other players that have gone through X, Y, and Z injury, right? You look at David Ojabo. I mean, how he came back from an ACL tear that quickly, insane. But then you look at, even with comparing JK and Gus in the injuries that they've come back from as well, obviously different injuries, but in terms of the timetable, I remember when Gus first came back, Coach Harbaugh was like, he was he given the option of the fast track back to injury or the slow track back from injury? And Gus chose to take the fast track. But he was given, hey, like you can take the fast track, but there might be a situation where you might have a setback and you would have to take the slow track. And JK was given that same option. Obviously, he had that setback to get his knee scoped out. So I think that how people's bodies respond to injury is so different. I mean, you look at Damar Hamlin right now, right? The incredible recovery that he's made.
It's unbelievable.
And in those situations, I've talked to some other people who have had parents, and my dad went through a similar situation in that cardiac arrest. And you think about your body is not getting, your heart is not pumping oxygen to your brain in those moments that you flatline. And everybody responds to that differently. That's why they keep your body, at a cooler temperature to make sure that it can recover in the best way possible. And so the fact that Damar Hamlin was able to make that recovery is insane, because that doesn't happen. A lot of people have some brain damage.
Those words neurologically intact were really the most powerful words. I've never heard those words before. Like I've never been, I've never had somebody go through. So when I hear those words, I'm like, oh my God, there was really a chance that he could wake up, but he might be a vegetable at that point.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's the biggest fear. I think when people go through cardiac arrest like that, is that, or the situation that Damar Hamlin was in, that your brain is going to have damage. And the fact that he had, knock on wood, as far as we know, none, is really remarkable. So in that sense, when you talk about coming back from injury, I think that everybody's bodies are so different. That's why, there are studies about DNA and how people's bodies respond to various injuries and situations. So I think that, circling back to Lamar, I think that that's why it's been such a, an unknown. Like, you know what I mean? I guess unknown is the best way to put it in terms of how his body is responding to this. As far as we know, he's working hard every day, that he's coming and rehabbing with the trainers every day. Mark Andrews told us yesterday that, Lamar's Lamar, he's going to come back on the field, and as soon as he can, he's a competitor, a competitive spirit. So as far as we know, that is what's going on.
I have been bothered a little bit by the jump to he's holding out. I've been bothered a little bit by that only because it's so antithetical to what we know about Lamar Jackson and what makes him click, right?
Right.
I don't know all of the gray area between could he play but he'd be limited. I don't know any of those things, right? But the jump to it's obvious he's just holding out. He had every opportunity to do that. To just hold out if he wanted to, or hold in, or whatever.
He could have been I'm not coming to training camp.
Now give me the contract or trade me. Right. They had every chance to do that. Why he would suddenly be just holding out? I have no idea. I'm not talking to Lamar on a day-to-day basis. Who knows? But the idea that we're jumping to that as being the logical conclusion of what's going on, it spits in the face of everything we know.
Yeah, well, it's not on par with everything, like you said, with what we know about Lamar, and in the instances that we've seen him, and I think he's handled all kinds of controversy quite well, while still trying to maintain himself, because that's the whole thing, you know what I mean, with Lamar, is that he's always himself. He's never going to give you a version of himself that's this is the buttoned up suit version of me. He always keeps it real.
No.
I respect that so much, because it's so hard when you get into whatever business you're in, especially the NFL, and to not kind of try to be a buttoned up kind of hey, I just want to
Russell Wilson. You can just go ahead and say it. I'll say it. Russell Wilson.
Didn't want to say that, but okay.
Russell Wilson.
Totally, absolutely. And
Mr. Unlimited.
And so, let's ride Broncos country, right?
Broncos country, let's ride.
But I think Lamar has done such a good job of being true to himself, really owning who he is, and he's not apologetic about who he is as a person, being in his background and where he was raised and how he grew up and how he is now, and how that all plays into a part of who he is now. And you have to have a lot of respect for that, because that's a tough position to be in when you have the scrutiny of billions of people around the country coming at you.
There's no question about that. How it all plays out, I have no idea. I can't. This is the thing where when somebody tries to tell me, I guess there was a host on Fox Sports, Jason Smith, who was going on about, hey, this, how this is ending. This is, and I had a few people tweeted at me yesterday. I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be. He's stating an opinion as fact. There's no fact involved.
Right.
He doesn't know something.
Unless you're Lamar, Lamar himself, or you've spoken to himself, or his mother. You don't know.
Nobody has any idea what's going on. Even if you think you've gotten information from the Ravens, if you haven't corroborated it with Lamar Jackson, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so few people have access to Lamar Jackson because he's so very protected in this world. Remember, we were supposed to have Lamar Jackson on earlier the year, but we were given about 8 qualifications to how we could have Lamar Jackson on, and we said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and pass. Getting to Lamar Jackson has been extraordinarily difficult because, and he has every right he doesn't have an agent, right? And once upon a time, as we all know in Baltimore, when Joe Flacco was here, he had an agent we could call, and he was happy to talk to anybody at any time and say whatever it was that was on his mind, and we could get as much information as we possibly could. We don't have that same option right now, and that's what makes this infuriating. I can't tell you. I can't see the future. I don't know what's going to happen this offseason. I don't know if Lamar Jackson is going to be a Raven next year. But what I do know is that anyone who thinks they know that isn't Lamar Jackson is talking out of their ass. They are absolutely just making things up as they go along.
No, 100%. And you think about, the not having an agent situation, right? And that's something that he's been heavily criticized for. But I think that with Roquan Smith, signing his new contract without an agent as well, I think that maybe has laid a foundation for maybe from what I've been seeing on the Twitter chatters, it's kind of given people some hope about Lamar.
I hope they're right. I hope there's something to it. That would be good news for all of us. Hey, today's show is also brought to you by the Ginsu Kamado Grill. You only have about 2 days left to take advantage of the code TAILGATE and save $100 when you order your Ginsu Kamado Grill. GinsuGrills.com is the website. It's the perfect ceramic home grill or tailgate for searing, baking, smoking, and grilling everything you could possibly want. Melissa Kim is here in studio with us this morning. Joining us now, this man has sort of become almost like a Ravens beat reporter at this point. This is his second game doing the Ravens in the last 3 weeks. He will be on the call Sunday night for Westwood One as the Ravens take on the Bengals in the AFC wildcard round. It's always a thrill to welcome Mike Golic back to the program. Mike, it's Glenn and Melissa in Baltimore. It's so great to chat with you. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us.
No problem. I gotta admit, the searing of the bacon sounded excellent.
You know what?
Now all of a sudden my mouth is watering a little bit. I'm a little hungry.
You probably are an even better spokesperson for the Ginsu Kamado Grill than I would be, so I might try to get in touch with somebody and suggest that they ship one out to you, my friend. We will see what we can do about that.
I am all for that. I am all for that. I would be a wonderful spokesperson for them, yes.
All right, so Mike, now this you lead me to a place I have to go. Right now, you go out, you're putting together a Sunday get-together for friends, and you're handling the grilling, the choice of anything, what's on the grill at Mike Golic's house?
Listen, I grill anything.
I figure.
Steaks. My son-in-law is a monster steak griller, so I like grilling steaks. I'm a big fan of just regular burgers, but I like grilled corn as well. I'll throw that on there and grill it up really well. So I am salmon. I will grill anything, but if you push comes to shove, it's going to be a nice meat. That's for sure.
I understand that. By the way, we do the grilled corn in Baltimore. We then lather it in Old Bay is the play afterwards. And
there you go.
It is. Yeah, it's exactly what you need. And then, by the way, if you go to the grocery store before you're grilling in Baltimore, you get about 50 ears of corn, no matter how many people are there, because you're just going to keep going through them. It is. I don't know how to explain it.
Listen, this is like a cooking show going.
Correct. What the hell with the football game? We don't have a quarterback in Baltimore,
right.
Mike. This is where we are. For the Ravens to have a chance on Sunday night, you saw them, of course, a couple weeks ago against the Steelers. For them to have a chance to beat Joe Burrow and that offense on Sunday night in the playoffs without Lamar Jackson, what has to go right for them? What has to go wrong for the Bengals?
Well, I mean, listen, the one thing that's been going right is Baltimore's defense has been playing extremely well against Joe Burrow. So, they when you bring in Roquan Smith, who has been, lights out for this defense, so that's what you're going to have to hang your hat on, I think. It's going to be very difficult to get into a shootout without Lamar Jackson. So that would be tough to do. So you're going to have to hold that offense down. And this Baltimore defense at times has been able to do that. So that to me is going to be the key. I looked at the 12 teams playing. There are 4 defenses that rank in the top 10 and 8 that rank 16 or worse. So there's not overly great defenses in this playoffs, but certainly Baltimore is up there as one of them. A really, really good defense. Need to get pressure on Burrow. McDonald has done a great job, coordinating this defense after his year at Michigan. That's I think is the magic elixir is this defense, and they know it. Listen, I've been in this position when you're missing your top player, all the other individual meeting rooms say and talk about how we need to step up and help. Wide receivers, we got to catch any ball that comes near us, whether it's from Huntley or from Brown. We got to make plays. O-line, we got to make plays. We got to be able to run the ball to control the clock when we have it. Defense, we got to step up and hold the Cincinnati offense down to give our offense a chance. So I think that's what's going on in a lot of meeting rooms.
Mike, you touched on that just a little bit too, but how does Baltimore get points? How does this Baltimore offense, who do you think that they should look to get points on the board against the Bengals on Sunday?
Mark Andrews is the guy, right? I mean, but, in Mark Andrews, I think playoff career, I don't think he has a touchdown yet, unless I think I remember that from reading what I've been reading through. But he's still the main guy. This isn't a wide receiver-led team. This is a tight end-led team and a quarterback-led team, and then you got your two-headed monster in the backfield. So this is about ball control and really the key. So if it's going to be a lower scoring game, obviously points are at a premium, and that's where the kickers, they have McPherson in Cincinnati, Tucker in Baltimore, two excellent kickers. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But it's depending on where you are in this game, are there being points scored? Are you going for it on fourth down, or do you take 3 points? If there's a lot of scoring, you got to try and go for it and go for the 7 points. So the game's going to dictate a lot of it. The problem is, without Lamar Jackson, I mean, listen, you could easily just look at the stats and see how this offense has been less and less and less from, rushing and scoring, all that, and passing without Lamar. So to sit there and hope you get lightning in a bottle with either one of these quarterbacks and they're going to put up 35, 40 points is probably unrealistic. So that's why it's ball control when you have it, and that defense has to slow down Cincinnati.
Mike Golic is with us. He's on the call. Ravens-Bengals Sunday night for Westwood One. By the way, Mike, yes, Mark Andrews has not scored a touchdown in his postseason career and had one of his worst games of his career in that game against the Titans at home back in January of 2020. All this being said, a lot of people around here are pointing out that for everything they didn't have going for them, to your point defensively, but all in all, the Ravens were pretty competitive with the Bengals a week ago with no J.K. Dobbins, barely Gus Edwards, and we'll see if he's back for this week, with no Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely stepped up, played really well in that game. The defense was great, and there is this desire to do the math of, well, hey, if you just don't turn the ball over a bunch of times and you can run the ball a little bit, I don't know, maybe there's a blueprint there. I worry that there's danger in just trying to look at one game and then turning around the next, but what do you make of that scenario where the Ravens were pretty competitive against the Bengals just a week ago despite all of that?
Well, I go again with the last few games or some of the history of Burrow and Baltimore, what this defense has been able to do. And if I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, I can hang my hat on that, saying our defense has done a nice job against him. Last week it's so tough when players sit out of how to take a Week 18 game. The one thing is these are division foes. Third time, you know everything about these teams, right? From the player you're playing across, which is what I would study the most. How are you handling the player you're playing across from most in your situation? Game plans, teams will probably throw in a wrinkle or two. But for the most part, you know each other. So like anything, it's going to come down to, we always talk about game plans and chess matches with coordinators. It comes down to one-on-one situations. You beat the man in front of you. If you are on defense and have a chance to make a tackle in the open field, are you making it, or is that offensive person shaking you and getting some extra yards? And the defense for Baltimore has been able to do a good job against Cincinnati's offense. So I think it's a huge feather in their cap, and what's going to keep them in this game. Can they do that for 60 minutes, though? I mean, Cincinnati is explosive. They've won 8 in a row. I mean, this is tied for the best streak, 8 games at the end of the season since the 72 Dolphins. So, wow. I mean, that's pretty impressive what they're doing right now after a 4-4 start. So they're doing what they did last year. They're kind of hitting the high note toward the end of the season and peaking for the playoffs. So that's the mission now of Baltimore, is to slow that down. But they have the receipts that they've done it with Joe Burrow and slowed him down.
I like that you say receipts. That's good. But also, Jamar Chase has been saying a little bit this week how there were some dirty hits on in the last game. And I'm in the locker room pretty much every day. And Roquan Smith was asked about that yesterday, and he just said, hey, see you on Sunday. Is this the new Ravens-Steelers rivalry? Maybe is it going to be Ravens-Bengals coming now in the future?
I hope so. I love rivalries. And you know what? If I was still playing and in the defensive side and some offensive guy said the dirty hits, I'd say, just bring it on. We'll see you Sunday. We'll see how the hits go. I mean, give me a break with that. I don't need to hear that, and I don't care about hearing that. This Baltimore defense is tough. They hit hard, and they're going to hit you hard. It's a rough game. And any offensive player. Listen, Jamar Chase is a great player. Make no mistake about it. But, when you publicly start complaining about dirty hits, what you're doing, too, is you're trying to get the refs to look at it as well. And coaches may talk about it to refs before the game. I know John Harbaugh said my team plays clean, and, that's exactly what he should say. These guys go and hit. I would kind of, chuckle if I were still playing it on the defensive side to hear the opposing offensive player say something like that. Doesn't worry me one bit, but I hope it does turn into a big rivalry. I'm all for that. I mean, the way the Ravens and the Steelers have been has been phenomenal. So if you could get it now with Cincinnati, because Cincinnati ain't going anywhere.
No.
They got Burrow. They got a hell of a team. They're going to be good for a while. And Baltimore, listen, they were playing some really good ball, but then they had the injury. So I hope this turns into a big rivalry.
It was weird. They were like Bengals fans were showing a video of Roquan Smith lightly flipping the football to Jamar Chase. Like, look how dirty. He threw the ball at him. I'm like, what the hell is this?
I mean, give me a break.
Right?
I mean, I get a little much with the taunting. If you say too much at a player, they throw a flag. I understand what they're trying to do, but it's a little overboard at times. It's a violent sport. You hit, it's the way it goes.
Mike Golic, just another couple of minutes with him here on GCR. Mike, we talked a lot about Roquan. Obviously, he's been a revelation in Baltimore. This defense has almost completely flipped since his arrival, and I don't know what else I can say about the man. That being said, there are still some that share the opinion of, I don't care how good an off-ball linebacker is. You can't, as an organization, be paying an off-ball linebacker $20 million a year. You can't build a team that's good enough to win a Super Bowl if you have $20 million being soaked up at a non-premium position. What do you make, as good as Roquan Smith is, and he's been a revelation since he arrived, what do you make of that argument that it's just not the way that you're supposed to build a team to win Super Bowls in 2023?
Well, I mean, it's tough. We were already seeing it at the running back position, right? The value of running backs has just gone down and down more and more. You're going to have to, if the Lamar situation works out and Baltimore ends up paying him and they actually work out a deal, we know that's going to be a monster deal. I get what you're saying, and the player has every right to ask for it because of what they mean to the team on the field. Now it's up to the capologist, and how coaches look to the medical staff when a player is injured. Hey, is this guy cleared to go? Yeah. You got to talk to your capologist, because these coaches aren't figuring it out. Believe me, the money situation, they're going to need to be told, we can fit this, we can fit that, we can't fit this, we can't fit that. And that's what it's going to come down to. Is that going to be tough to pay that position that much? Hell yeah, it is. Good teams figure it out without ending up having a lot of dead money down the road. They take care of things year to year. A lot of times you can pay players before you have to pay your quarterback. When your quarterback is good right out of the gate and you're going to have to pay him down the road, you have a couple of years span where you can pay other players until you have to pay that quarterback.
Right.
Unfortunately for Baltimore, they're in the position, unless they're just going to franchise Lamar, of having to shell out that money.
And Roquan, obviously, he's told us that he doesn't have an agent. He did this whole deal without an agent directly with Eric DeCosta. Obviously, we know Lamar doesn't have an agent. Do you feel like this is a trend that we might see going forward as more players are coming to the table and fighting for themselves?
Man, you know what? More power to them if they want to do it. I could never do it. I could never feel like I'm doing enough. But these players could be way more aware of what's around them, what their surroundings are. So if they want to try it, hey, more power to it. Give it a go. I know I couldn't do it. I would need to lean on, an agent. And for whatever reason, if you don't want to pay your agent, now what is it, 4% of what you would pay you have to decide, can that agent get me that much more money that after I pay him, it's still down to what I could have got by myself. That's what these guys all believe, that they can pull out the best deals. As I said, I don't think I would have been smart enough to do that or wanted to do that. I would leave it to the professionals there. But if these guys want to try it, I also don't have a problem with that. I just hope they're not going to leave any money on the table. Though when you're as great as Lamar is, you have the leverage to ask for that. Roquan is going to go into some territory that is maybe some unknown territory, trying to get that position more money, which always quarterbacks were there, and we know that. Linebackers are a little different as far as what you're going to pay them and how high you'll go.
Coming away with $100 million, oh, that ain't too bad. I'd be willing to settle for it at that point. Hey, Mike, before we let you go, because I know how much of a Notre Dame guy you are, seeing Kyle Hamilton this year, we had him out for an event this week, and he was very open. Like, the Miami game, it was a mess. I mean, it was unbelievable. And yet, since that point, this dude has utterly and completely looked the part, and I don't know what the next level might be, the ball skills, whatever, but he's doing so many different things for this defense. Are you would you say to yourself, hey, I'm not surprised by that at all, knowing the guy that we saw in college? This is exactly what I expected him to be. Just the way that he's been able to do it so quickly after a rough start to look like every ounce of what the Ravens thought they were getting in the first round.
Well, I mean, that position now is becoming one of the most versatile positions in all of football, that safety position. You got to play back, you got to run support, you got to play like a linebacker, and sometimes you got to play on the line. And it just took a little bit for them to find the right spot for Kyle, right, to where he would mesh in with this defense. And that certainly can take time. Listen, the difference of college ball to pro ball is huge, especially the speed of the game and how much quicker you have to recognize what's going on. And you have to kind of find where you belong and then grow from there. So it took Kyle a little bit to find that. He found it. But, I mean, that size of a guy, 6'4", 215, 220 in that area there, he is the perfect versatile type of a guy to play up on the line, to play back. And the more he learns that position and evolves even more into that, as I said, I think that's one of the most, if not the most versatile position you have to be on the field now.
He's been a revelation, man. It has been unbelievable to watch this kid turn things around mid-season. At Golic on Twitter is how you follow him. Of course, Ravens-Bengals Sunday night on Westwood One, as well as the Golic and Smetty podcast available through DraftKings. Anything else I can plug for you, my friends?
No, that's about it. I just look forward to us all sitting down and having some seared bacon.
Hell yeah, man. We're stopping by. Mike, it's so great to chat with you as always. Thank you for taking the time for us.
All right. See y'all.
Mike Golic with us here on GCR. I appreciate him taking the time ahead of Ravens-Bengals on Sunday night. I'm going to give you, Melissa, the same question.
Grilling?
Well, no. I mean, if you want to, we can do the grilling question. I meant what is the path to you for the Ravens to have a chance on Sunday night?
Listen, I would say this has always been a hot topic of discussion in my life as well. Honestly, give me like 3 pick sixes. What the heck?
Okay, I mean, that would go a long way. Yeah.
Yes,
right.
But no, this Ravens defense surprisingly has not had a single pick six all season. I looked that up the other day because I was like wondering because I think they almost had a near one, and it got called back in one game. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but I remember specifically talking to Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton about this. Kyle, who I feel like is like my little brother, by the way. I did a story. For those that don't know, he is half Korean. My family's Korean, and we kind of have bonded over that over the course of the
That's really cool.
And stuff like that. Yeah, no, because
his mother, correct?
His mother's Korean, yeah, and he's one of the very few first that the Ravens have ever drafted, but very few in the league. And so we chat every now and then. And I remember specifically talking to him because he had the interception that was called back in a game earlier in the season. And he was like, he's like, my mom was like jumping up and down, like, I'm like screaming and everything. It was right before the bye week was when it was, because he told me that he talked to his mom about it during the bye week. And I was like, wait, has this team had a pick six yet this season? And they haven't. So I feel like that I'm gonna say that
it would be the perfect timing. My God, you could not ask for better timing.
Listen, that would be the way that they would put points on the board. I mean, not that I'm not depending on Mark Andrews and how he can obviously perhaps turn around his playoff bad luck.
Yes,
but yeah, I believe.
By the way, for
defense.
what it's worth, Mark Andrews also used to have a knack for like struggling in all big games. Like he used to have a knack for primetime games or his worst games. He's turned around all of those things, and I know it's not been great since Lamar Jackson got hurt. Like there's been very little Mark Andrews.
But you see in the Steelers game, right, in Week 17, that was the Mark Andrews that I remember. The Mark Andrews of old, the all-pro Mark Andrews that we saw all last season before he hurt his shoulder this year. I think that, you think about the yak yards, the grit that you see him fighting for every single catch and every single yard. I think we saw a lot of that in the Steelers game.
And you would hope that what you saw from Isaiah Likely last week, there was a sign of figure out a way to have them both. Correct. Involved. Split one of them out wide, whatever it is that you have to do, because you simply don't have the personnel otherwise.
Right. I know. But yeah, I mean, defense, man. Like I'm such a fan of this defense because kind of to what Golic just said, credit to him on this, but like when you think about the rivalries and like the hits and the whatever, like I mean Roquan, to his credit, has said a lot of like really like kind of like gritty like cool things, because when I tweet them, like people go nuts over it. I remember before the Steelers game, he's like, yeah, run the ball right at us, I dare you. He's like, it's a test of your manhood, and I live for that.
That one didn't work out quite as well.
I know, but when he said it's a test of your manhood, like I live for that, and I'm just like, whoa, dude, like wow,
it's intense, right?
And then even after the Week 18 game, he was just like, it's a full-on war, and he's like, I welcome them to, you know what I mean? He's kind of like a bring it on kind of guy, and like I think that, you know, that gets people fired up, that gets the team fired up, obviously, and it gets the fan base fired up.
It very much, it throws back to old school football, old school Ravens defense. There's a lot of that you like about it. Hey, gambling can be fun, but you should set a limit and stay within it. And remember, if you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. Melissa Kim is in studio with us this morning. Still to come, Dr. David Chao will join us. We will talk about why
are we here?
Right? Like, what is going on? And obviously he doesn't know either, but he's a bit more intelligent when it comes to these subjects than I am, slightly. So we'll let him. Melissa went to Johns Hopkins, so
stop it.
She might be more.
No.
And also we're going to do our picks for the wild card. Yes, the wild card round of the playoffs this
Super
weekend.
wild card.
Oh my God, are you being paid by the NFL? No. I saw you send that out in the email last night. Super wild card weekend. What? Are they giving you money to try to put that over?
I think it's just funny that they're
this
is different. This is not the same wild card round. It's super wild.
It's because there's 2 more games than there were previously. Everything's changed. There's a game on Monday night. Whoa!
Stop the presses.
All right, we'll come back in. We got a lot to do. It's Glenn Clark Radio. It's the perfect time to sign the young basketball fan in your life up for a membership in the Retriever Kids Club. It includes free youth admission to all regular season UMBC home games, plus a t-shirt and a drawstring backpack. Membership is only $35. It makes a great gift. Visit UMBCRetrievers.com/Kids Club for more info. Membership is available for kids 12 and under in the Retriever Kids Club. Again, UMBCRetrievers.com/Kids Club.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we recognize Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman as our 2022 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, and he sits down with us to discuss how his arrival in Baltimore was simultaneous with the Birds' turnaround. Also inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of the year throughout the local sports scene. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Looking for some excitement in the new year? Laurel Park has plenty of live horse racing events to spice things up this January. The much-anticipated Winter Meet kicks off on January 1st, plus we've got special MLK Holiday Racing on Monday, January 16th, and the Winter Carnival Stakes on Saturday, January 21st. Winter may be cold, but the racing at Laurel Park is hot. Learn more about upcoming January events by visiting laurelpark.com.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Tune in to Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday at 11:40 a.m. And if you really have nothing better to do, keep listening to this show too.
Back in here on GCR. Melissa Kim is in studio with us this morning from WBAL. What can I plug for you, Melissa?
I'm good. Nobody sponsors. I sponsor my own life. Oh, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram.
I mean,
How's
that would be the
That's a
type
plug,
of thing that I
right?
would want to plug. Absolutely. We can plug that.
Yeah.
And then where can people see or hear you?
You can hear me on Game Days with Jerry Sandusky, and this week it'll be the lovely Tori
I
Smith.
do love me some Tori Smith.
Yes.
That's my guy.
And yes.
There's that.
Yeah,
That's
there's
the
that.
list.
I'm not, I'm not a fancy person. I'm not as cool as you, Glenn.
By the way, when somebody asks me they said, "What do you want to plug?" I'm like, I don't know. The solve poverty. Like,
Yeah, oh my
what do I
God,
wanna
world
plug?
peace.
Right?
World peace.
I have no idea. By the way, so I was on VSiN this morning, and I just found out this was the picture that was on the screen on Masson.
Wait, let me see.
It's a picture of me in the dumbest sweater vest that I've ever worn in my entire life that they put up on.
You
Somebody
look so
went.
distinguished.
Somebody went combing through my Facebook.
You look
this
like
morning.
You look like a high school science teacher.
I do look a lot like a high school science teacher. There's no. I wish I would have been wearing it like a true sweater vest. I wish I would have gone all in on that.
This
was
Jim
a
Castle style?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a good
Right?
look. This is a puffy vest I was wearing for some reason. My wife wanted me to become a puffy vest man a couple of years ago. She had this vision of me. My wife, who I mentioned before, comes from the private school sector, right? That's her life. She has always envisioned me at some point deciding I wanted to be a preppy lacrosse player guy.
Oh, like the Patagonia, like Croaky.
Like she is in her life envisioned.
Nantucket Reds. I
yes,
know
that
this
at
very
some
well.
point
Yes.
I would just flip a switch and that's who I would be. And I see that she's trying to make our sons like that right now. Like she's constantly dressing in that way. And I find myself saying, like, you've known me for 15 years? You think there's a chance in hell that I'm just going to wake up today and be like, you know what? I've always wanted to be a puffy vest man. That's just who I've secretly been this entire time.
Do
is
you
Mr.
own
Puffy
the
Vest.
Nantucket Reds, though?
No,
you
not a
sure?
chance.
Okay,
Well, I mean, unless she got one for me for Christmas one year. Every year she attempts to. She did turn me into a peacoat, man. I'll give her credit for that.
Peacoats are nice.
Peacoats are wonderful. I'm all in on peacoats, but that's as much success as she's had in her quest to change who it is that I am, which, again, I don't blame her for. Like, if I met me, I'd probably try to work on me a little bit.
I don't know. You keep it. You're like Lamar Jackson. You keep it real.
I like that. I'm going to tell her that the next time we talk about
Oh
it.
gosh. Don't
Yeah,
come after
the
me.
Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. I tried to tell you guys yesterday without actually just coming out and saying it, but it was made official this morning. Billy Joel, Stevie Nicks, coming to M&T Bank Stadium in October. October 7th, I believe, is the date. Half of you are very excited. Half of you are wildly disappointed. It's just the way that it goes. In a perfect world, this announcement for you, Melissa, would have been what?
Beyonce.
Beyonce. For a lot of people, the answer would have been
Rihanna.
Beyonce.
I don't know.
I mean, that's a great point. Like, you would think that when she's doing the Super Bowl halftime show, she'd want to follow it up by announcing, like, a big stadium tour or something like that. I thought that was a huge miss from the halftime show last year. Like, everybody was all excited about it. Like, this is the greatest halftime show other than Prince of all time. Let me make that abundantly clear. There will never be anything like that. Why wouldn't you follow that up with a nice?
Wait, I don't remember who was it last year?
Oh, it was Dre and Snoop and Eminem.
Oh my God, no, that was great. I loved that.
It was
loved every
incredible.
second of that. Yeah,
It
that was
was
like my childhood.
Exactly
oh my God,
right. It was except for, no offense, 50 Cent. There was no need. Like,
I mean,
no need,
you
my
didn't
guy.
get down with little Go Short at your birthday.
It's not like I don't enjoy it and it doesn't
Okay.
give me flashbacks. It's just
Okay.
that you have Dre and Snoop and
Mary
Eminem
J.
and Mary J.
Oh my
Blige
God,
and
a
Kendrick
queen.
Lamar.
Yes.
No offense. The last thing you needed in that group was why don't we take a few minutes and give it to 50 Cent instead?
To
no
hang
offense.
upside down and sing. Which,
All-
by the way,
he
is
looks amazing.
Yeah.
Let's make that abundantly clear. Looks incredible, but just wasn't necessary at that point. But I don't understand why they didn't follow it up with a world tour. Like, who wouldn't? If they had announced the next morning,
They were going on tour together.
It's $250 for a ticket. I'm telling you right
I
now,
would've been there.
1,000%. 1,000% I'm
Wait,
plopping down.
Dr. Dre is like kind of, how old is he now? Like in his 60s?
He's
50s?
got to be
Right?
50 something.
Okay.
I mean, like I don't know about 60,
Let's all look
but
this up.
oh, you know what was really disturbing though? Did you know that Eminem and Snoop are like the same age?
No.
That
Really?
I blew my mind.
Why do I feel
Snoop
like
has been because Snoop has been in our conscience for
like our entire
in-
lives?
essentially. They're both basically 50 years old. Hang on, I'm gonna do this. Let me pull
I
these
didn't
up.
think
You wanna
Eminem was
Dre-
that old.
Dre.
Dre is 57.
Oh, okay.
Wow, he's-
Snoop is 51. Eminem is 50.
What?
Yeah.
Ice Cube 53.
Eminem's 50.
Eminem's 50.
Which, by the way,
I
is
thought he
really
was our age.
it's really a statement about us more than anything else.
I
Like that's
know.
the
Like,
terrifying part.
Weren't we
is
like
it's
Slim Shady like when we
really-
were like in middle school? I feel
Oh, I think we were definitely like
school.
13,
High
14.
school.
I was in high school for sure. For
Okay.
sure I was in high school because I definitely had a "Hi, my name is Slim Shady" T-shirt that I wore around. God, it was quite the moment for white
Wait,
people.
when
I got to
did-
tell you. Oh, it was a moment.
Wait, when did 8 Mile come out then? I feel like that came out when we were in high school, right?
It came out right around like 2002, I want to
Okay.
say. Something like that. Is
Okay.
that right? 8 Mile?
Spot on.
2000?
2002.
Damn, look at this guy over here. Look at
Google
this
machine.
guy.
Yeah.
I got Dr. Dre up on my Google. I didn't look up 8 Mile at all.
Oh,
That
okay.
was straight from the brain, my friend. That's why we were trivia winners on Monday night. Hell yeah. By the way,
Okay.
with the most
Okay.
random. Okay. So I'll give you 2 from trivia on Monday night.
Okay.
1, because I was disturbed that I almost missed it. Griffin, don't give the answer. The same night that DeMar Hamlin collapsed, this NBA player scored 71 points.
Donovan Mitchell.
I swear to God, when they asked the question, I wrote down Luka Doncic because I was confused.
No, Luka has
he had
50
he had
or
the
60,
60-point triple double, right? And so I wrote down Luka Doncic, and I was ready to walk it up. And all of a sudden, as I'm getting ready to get up, I'm like, no. Then I sat for a second, and all the guys on my team are like, was it Harden? Was it? I'm like, no, shut up, shut up, shut up. Finally pulled it out of the recess of my brain that it was Donovan Mitchell. The final question on Monday night, which was a pure guess, but we got right and we won for the week. Name the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer who won the Best Contemporary Christian Grammy Award for a duet with Zach Williams in 2021. Now, correct. The way that you're looking is exactly the way that everyone in the bar looked.
Wait.
But I
hold on.
immediately said to everybody at the table,
Wait,
I'm
don't
like,
tell me. Don't tell me.
Uh-huh,
Don't tell me.
uh-huh.
Wait.
the
repeat
Rock
the
and
repeat
the
the
Rock and
question.
Roll Hall of Famer
Uh-huh.
who won the Best Contemporary Christian Grammy Award in 2021 for a duet with someone named Zach Williams.
Am I supposed to know Zach Williams?
I did not, for what
Okay.
it's worth. I know guys named Zach Williams.
Yeah.
I did not know this guy.
I mean, I would automatically go to like Springsteen or somebody like that. Is he in
I
the
d-
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I don't even
He's
know.
definitely in the Rock and Roll
Yeah.
Hall of Fame, but it would seem like that would be quite the stretch for him to do a gospel
Christian,
record,
yeah.
right? Like that seems like that would be a bit much. I wrote down a name and I said, look, I have no idea.
And of course you got it right.
But this is the name that I think. And immediately everybody at the table was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. This was be the type of thing that they would do. And it wouldn't remotely change a single person's opinion about this person.
Go.
This is one of the most beloved humans on the face of the planet.
Celine Dion, I don't know.
Dolly Parton.
Oh my God! Okay, that makes sense.
It makes all the sense in the
Yeah,
world.
Of course.
Now, we were guessing, so we didn't go all in. Like, we didn't wager all
Yeah.
15 points. But again, nobody else in the bar got it
I mean, that
correct.
makes
So
sense.
we
She's
did.
in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I
She
didn't
was
know
just
that.
inducted this year into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
okay.
It was a whole
Good for
thing
her.
where she was bothered at first. She was like, I don't want to be inducted. I'm not rock and roll. And then we had a whole conversation. Like, you're Dolly Parton. You get to
Right.
be
You
as
can do
rock and
whatever you
get to
want.
be as
You
rock
can
and roll
literally-
as any. Like, you can put Dolly Parton in any Hall of Fame that you'd like
You
to put
can
her in.
You could put her on a song with Dr. Dre, and I would listen to it.
I would. Oh my God, I would be thrilled.
collab
Are you
on
kidding
that?
me?
Yeah.
I would be very excited for a Dolly Parton. When we were driving around in Wisconsin, Mrs. Clark, 9 to 5 came on the radio,
Oh.
and Mrs. Clark did not recognize it, and I immediately wanted to know what the annulment laws were in the state of Wisconsin. Like, do I have to wait till I get back?
Right. We have to
Like,
go home together.
how does this
Okay.
work exactly? This is Dolly Parton that we're talking about. We do not mess around with subjects that are as important as this. But yes, Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks in Baltimore. It's like the 5th Billy Joel show in Baltimore. It feels like Billy Joel is just sort of, he didn't come to Baltimore for 40 years, so now he just only comes to Baltimore at this point, as he played Camden Yards a couple years ago, and he played M&T Bank Stadium before that. So, but this time he's bringing Stevie Nicks with him. I hope that there will be more concert announcements that will be coming
Yes.
that will maybe satisfy some other people that are a little bit disappointed by the announcement of Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks. I'm out on, I love both of them, But I've seen Billy Joel about 100 times at this point. I'm not spending $6,000 again on Billy Joel tickets. Those days are over.
There was some speculation too. Not that this was ever going to happen, but like some people that I work with were like Taylor Swift, and I was like, no, that's never happening.
I think that like she already announced the whole
right.
like.
She did the whole thing.
I think like she had already announced extra dates and some.
Right.
I think that's over.
After the whole Ticketmaster thing too. Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that's over. I don't think there's going to be any more of that. All right, so we're going to do picks here in a second. You're in.
I'm in. I'm always all in. Are you kidding?
So
Picks?
I'll
Let's
explain
go.
it. I'll explain it when Ken Zalis joins us. But we're doubling down because Griffin really wanted us to double down this week. It's a whole deal. Griffin, for whatever reason, really.
I think it'd be cool to have more popsicles.
He really I think this is secretly that Griffin really wants to try a pork and beans popsicle. Is really what this comes down to.
I want to see. I know I'm going to win, so I want to see more people try. I don't want to see just John Proctor eating this pork and beans popsicle.
John lost last week, so he's already out. Text Jeremy, see if he wants in.
Okay.
All right, text him see if he wants in to add one more. John's already got to eat a pork and beans popsicle. Whoever loses and ties, by the way, and there's only 6 games, so there's way more of a chance of ties. Everybody could go 3-3. All of us could go.
How do you figure? Are we doing it by a coin flip? Is that
No.
No coin flip. Okay.
So if all of us go 3-3 this week, everybody loses.
Oh.
Everyone's a loser if everybody goes 3-3 this week, and we all have to consume pork and beans popsicles.
It'll be like a community.
It'll be an event. Yes,
experience.
it'll be an event. Is exactly what it'll be. Let me run 2 things by you before we get to picks. Right. One, we were talking obviously about the entire season covering the Ravens. Is there anything besides Lamar Jackson's injury that you think is the greatest storyline? This comes from Chris. That you think is the greatest storyline of how it is that we got to this point where none of us are excited for a playoff game with the Ravens?
Wait, is nobody really excited? Okay.
That's what Chris said.
Okay. No, I think that shows you how important Lamar is to this team, and how important he has been to this franchise. You think about the quarterbacks, no knock on Trent Dilfer, Elvis Gerback, or Joe Flacco, or anything like that. But I think he's one of the most exciting quarterbacks that this franchise has ever seen. I mean,
one of. He is by far.
Yeah,
by far.
He is. I'm trying to be nice to everybody, but like he changed the face of offenses.
How dare you? How dare you offend the great
I
Kyle
know.
Bowler? How dare you?
But they created an offense based around this one player, and he really changed how NFL offenses work, right? You think about the people that came after him, like the Kylers and the Josh Allens and the
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, Tua, And so I think he's such a prolific kind of guy, so that is why it's such kind of like a heavy, I think, a little bit of a letdown that he's not playing right now. I think that just kind of speaks to how important he is. So is there another reason why? I mean, no, I think it's Lamar. You hear all the guys talking about it this week in terms of, Lamar really is the leader of this offense. We're a different team. I mean, Calais Campbell, one of the great leaders of this team right now, said that, Lamar, this offense is, different with Lamar on the field. And you think about how he's a guy that can get other guys to come and play here. I remember distinctly Latavius Murray last season said he wanted to come play here because of Lamar Jackson, because he made him excited about football again. Morgan Moses this year said that his kids were the biggest Lamar Jackson fans. They all have number 8 jerseys. He told me that on Saturdays they come in and they play soccer with Lamar in the locker room,
Mm-hmm.
And you think about how much of an effect that he has on the league, players, fans. So I think that is why it is such a kind of a heavy letdown that he's not playing right now.
I think that this is, but we were talking. Boy, I ended up in a conversation with our friend Josh Charles last night, actually, because Drew and I were talking about it on the show yesterday. I got a funny text from Josh last night. He's like, "You and Drew argue like an old married couple," and I was like, "Yeah, that's probably about right." But John Harbaugh seems frustrated by the questions, right? But remember, it was John Harbaugh who, in the immediacy after the game, suggested that like there was some scenario where Lamar could play literally the week after the injury. And I do wonder if part of what we're dealing with could have been avoided if at the time John did what we expect John to typically do in these situations and just said, guys, we don't know. We don't know. It could be a little while. Like he was the one that kind of suggested, like, this is an injury that he could be back from quickly.
Right. Well, I think maybe he just didn't know, but also he was hopeful. You know what I mean? I think he was really hopeful, and I think John is a guy that generally again, is in the keeps it real category. You can see when he's emotional. You can see when he's happy or unhappy about things, which, again, I really do appreciate as someone who used to cover Mike McCarthy and Bill Belichick.
Robotic.
No
yeah.
emotions on those people's
Robotic.
faces. Right. And so I think he was probably hopeful. You know what I mean? He wants Lamar to play. Like, we all want Lamar to play, and we just don't know, like, what is happening with the injury situation. So that's why, bless you.
Thank you.
That's why I think that John was probably a hopeful right with the rest of us. You know?
Probably, but normally you ask anything John Harbaugh about injuries, and you get back
with the
we'll
see.
And yet this time he was very quick to say days to weeks. Could he play this week? I don't know, probably not, but maybe. Like, he put out a scenario where he might not miss any time at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that came from. I don't know why that was the case, but I do think that's part of the reason why we're in this situation where there's such pandemonium is because all of this conversation started.
We trust the head coach.
Right.
That's
with that being suggested that it could be an injury that took no time whatsoever. But alas, here we are.
Here we are.
Let's make picks for the week. We are into hour number 2 of today's show. Melissa Kim from WBAL is with us and is in for picks. Joining us now, our friend Ken Zalis. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. For the most part, let's just take a look at the season-long standings for picks right now. There is still life for both KZ and Griffin. KZ and Griffin are only 3 games back at the top of the table. Melissa, by the way, I'm killing it this year. In first place on our picks contest.
Is that rigged?
79 and 84.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were gonna be. I thought you were serious.
Certainly not rigged.
JK,
No,
JK.
I am in first place. It's just been awful. Just awful all season long. John Proctor's a game back. KZ and Griffin are 3 games back. Then Kyle's 5 games back. Paul Valley's 7 games back. And Andrew Stetka is our worm at the moment, 11 games back. We didn't tell you that the season-long punishment, be grateful you're not involved with this.
Okay.
You have to come in and eat a worm burger. It's exactly what you think it is.
Where do you guys find these? Did we just come out? Where does this cut? Like the pork and beans
Our
popsicle, worm burger? Do you come up with this on your own?
All over the place. Although
Okay.
recently everybody's been watching that show Barmageddon and sending me things from that stupid television program that I didn't know any human being watched. But apparently there is a giant crossover between the GCR audience and the Barmageddon audience, which I have learned about.
Great program.
Is it?
What
I
channel
think
is
so.
this on?
Are you actually watching it?
No, but I know Mike Vrabel's on there, and I think
Barmageddon.
Jimmy Johnson.
Thank you.
NASCAR.
Yes, that was my response.
No,
as
wait.
well.
What channel is
It's
this on?
USA Network.
Okay, I think I have to check this out now.
It's the
Monday nights at 11.
The Bella Twins, I believe, are involved
love
with
them.
it. Well, there you go. You might be a
Okay.
Barmageddon fan.
Okay.
So anyway, that's where the pork and beans popsicle came
Oh,
from. Was
got
that
it.
show?
Okay.
The worm burger came because there was some story that was like the way that we're going to solve our food crisis and
we're gonna eat bugs?
we're all going to eat worms
Oh,
or something
okay.
like that. Yes. So we decided to do a worm burger, but that's not all. You also have to dress as the worm Dennis Rodman from his wedding dress era. And you have to perform the worm by legendary
So it's
professional
like a
wrestler.
worm-themed punishment.
Very worm
Okay.
theme, but you also have to take a stink. It's a whole thing. I mean, it's
Okay.
just a whole thing
I just want to witness
for the
it, that's
for the
all.
loser of this, which we were certain was going to be our friend Andrew Stetka, who, by the way, lives in Arizona and would have to fly back in order to do all of this. But he's only 4 games behind our buddy Paul Valley, who's a vice worm at the moment. So there's still a lot to be determined there. That being said, we only have so many games left at this point. For this week, Ken, Griffin has requested that we double down on the pork and beans popsicle bet. I don't know what his obsession is.
What is he being doubled down?
That John Proctor's already lost one. He would like to have someone else or someone's else also consume. I don't know why. Griffin's a weirdo, is what we've learned.
Did he not do any research for the show and come up with something else?
I don't know. He literally brought it up to me 2 days ago. He was like, "Do you think we could run it back?" And I'm like, "What?"
I just wanted to make more popsicles.
We
I
already
didn't
got a
wanna-
loser. He was like, "Yeah, but we could just do it again." I was like, "What the, Griffin? What the hell?"
I got multiple popsicle molds. It felt weird, just filling up one.
You want to make 6 of them.
Yeah.
So you want 6 of us to
Yeah,
lose. And
yeah,
you want to have a communal pork and bean popsicle party is what you're looking
Is
for.
there barbecue
Sure.
sauce
Yes.
and pork and beans?
It's some sort of sauce. I don't know.
I saw some people would
I
make
guess
them.
it
They
would
would put
be.
like ketchup in the popsicle. And
Oh, I've done pickle juice popsicles. We did that
I
for the
thought
show.
that's a thing. Yeah.
It's
For, like dehydration or something like that, electrolytes, something, right?
That's why you're
That's
supposed to
not the reason he does it.
Yeah, I'm just obsessed. That's a good point. He's not wrong. I wish that was the case. So KZ, are you in? Melissa is actually
I'm totally in. Oh my god, yeah.
Which I think is
Sure.
insane. By the way,
You say with
the
hesitation.
update 1 hour later is that Carson just ordered at the chicken tender store that opened today. He just got the order and he left an hour ago.
I told you it's going to be
It's
a
a
madhouse.
disaster.
It's going to be a mess.
It's a nightmare at the chicken tender store. Anyway, so Melissa's in, KZ, you're in, Charles is in, Griffin's in. Do we see if John Proctor wants to go?
What if Proctor's the only loser again?
Then he's got 2
Well,
pops.
we don't know for sure that he's in yet. But if he is, then I would agree.
Well, we can peer pressure him like we did last time. So
we can do. That's
So
true.
he's
We
in.
did
He's
kind of
basically in.
Yeah, we're putting him in basically. He could do 2 popsicles when he comes in to pay off his bet. And then what about Jeremy? Did he?
Jeremy did not text me back yet. So.
I bet he'll end
Oh,
up.
yeah, but he's in. He's
I'm
totally
almost.
in. He does weirder things than eat pork. And
He gets very angry too when we don't include him in our side bets because he wants to be involved with more of them. So I'm good with that. We Lady and the Tramp to Panettone a couple weeks ago for no reason whatsoever, just for funsies on a Thursday morning. All right, so that's what we're doing for picks. Only 6 games this week, so there is a much greater chance of there being ties for our losers. So we will deal with that. Griffin, let's walk us through picks for this week.
All right, opening up for Super Wildcard Weekend on Saturday at 4:30.
You better be getting a check.
I know.
You better. I don't know what it's worth it to you. You're putting this over.
On my brother's
I know.
birthday, January 14th, the Seahawks going to San Francisco.
Well, now that I know it's your brother's birthday, it's going to
Right,
completely
totally change
change
everything.
how I'm going to pick these games.
Niners are favored by 9.5, hosting the Seahawks.
I should point out the picks are brought to you this week by UMBC Basketball. They're back at home for a pair of games this weekend, Saturday, and then a very cool thing on Monday. Of course, it's holiday. It's MLK Day, so they're playing a 5 o'clock tip-off on Monday, a chance for you to get down there with your kids. Maine, Saturday at 1 o'clock. Hartford, Monday at 5. UMBC's been red hot, so you want to go check out the Retrievers at Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena. Get your tickets, umbcretrievers.com. Now, with that said, Griffin gave me a stat about double-digit yesterday. What did you have? It was like
It was double-digit underdogs. Hold on, I have it.
or like
Double-digit
3-11 or
underdogs.
something like that.
They're 3-11. So the underdogs are 3-11 against the spread.
Now, this is not
since
technically
2010.
double digits because we got it
Right.
at 9.5. But I think I'm going to roll with this. There's a reason why the Seahawks 49ers are just good, man. And I know that we're still like trying to figure out exactly what Brock Purdy is, but dude, he's been good. They got Debo back.
McCaffrey.
They're loaded. I mean, they're just insanely loaded. Meanwhile, on the flip side, I just don't see a path for the Seahawks. So I'm going to roll with the 49ers despite it being a big number. Ken.
Sir, yeah, I agree with everything there. I Seahawks was a nice story. They haven't been particularly impressive in a month, though, after the hot start. And San Francisco's just loaded. And nobody even mentioned how good their defense is. And that, for me, is what's going to get this 9.5 pretty easily. I think this is the blowout of the weekend.
Melissa.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at how different of a team they've been since they got Christian McCaffrey, and how the offense has been rolling since then, too. So, yeah, I'm such a Pete Carroll stan. But, yeah.
Why?
Born and raised USC football fan.
Oh, you really are all over the map. You really are.
I mean, that's like where I was born and raised, so
Yeah.
that's where I stick with Pete Carroll. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm rolling with the Niners here too.
Griffin.
All right, so the Niners, they swept the Seahawks in the regular season. In the wildcard era, teams that have swept their opponents facing off in the playoffs during the regular season, they're 9-9-1 against the spread. So no
we
angle.
saw this. We saw this with the Rams, of course, last year, who were swept by the 49ers, not in the wild card weekend, but ended up playing the 49ers in the championship game. Was that when they?
Was it the divisional round or the championship?
I don't remember.
Did the
Whatever it
Packers make
was.
the championship? Yeah, whatever.
Whatever it was, they played it. No, I think it was the championship game.
Okay.
And
you're right, yeah.
and the Rams ended up winning that game.
But yeah, so 9-9-1. So there's actually no angle there. I just wanted to throw that out
So
there.
thank you for nothing.
Yeah.
Just dynamite observation, Griffin.
The Seahawks, however, they do play the Niners well. Not this year; they got swept. But since
throw
Shanahan,
in more random things that aren't helpful. Did
Since
you know
Shanahan
that
took
Dolly
over-
Parton won the Contemporary Christian Grammy in 2021? It has nothing to do with this pick. I just thought that you should know.
Seahawks are 8-3 straight up against Shanahan since he took over. And so they always play him well. They play him close. I do like the Niners a lot.
They
They're
also
my
used to have
Super
a
Bowl
quarterback
pick.
in Seattle.
The Niners are my Super Bowl pick at this point, but 9.5 is a lot of points. I think the Seahawks keep it close, and it's going to be a good game to kick off Super Wildcard
All right,
Weekend.
pass that over to Charles. He's next.
I wanted to go with the Seahawks covering, but I didn't like the way they played last week. Kind of the Rams, they've packed.
Yeah, they're
it in
doo-doo.
already.
Yes, I agree.
not good.
They're cheeks.
Yeah, and they should have lost. They got the cheat flag with Jalen Ramsey at the end. So yeah, I'm gonna take the 49ers as well to probably win by more than 10
Good that
points.
Griffin went a different way, because I was actually starting to worry that we would all pick all of the games the exact same way, and then we would all just be clinching the fact that we had to eat pork and beans popsicles because of it. So at least we got that going for us. What about everybody else?
So I'm lone wolfing it. Everybody
Ooh,
else
go
is
ahead.
on the 49ers.
Go ahead. Do it. There's our guy.
Go Seahawks.
There's our guy. Next.
Next up, also on Saturday night, 8:15 on NBC. What's NBC's other crew? Do you know?
It's going to be Al Michaels is
wow.
returning to NBC, working with Tony Dungy for this game.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love Tony Dungy.
There you
I
go.
feel like we need him on.
I don't love he and Jason Garrett together.
There's a lot of
It's all
old man coach vibes.
very
happening there,
old
yeah.
man and very weird. Every time they've done a promo all season, I really wish somebody would
Who
compile.
do you like
all
with Jason Garrett?
Nobody. That's a great point. I really wish they would compile all of the awkward promos they do all year. And poor Maria Taylor, who was told, like, please laugh at whatever these guys
I know.
are saying.
Oh gosh, I know.
And, like, it's just so uncomfortable. There was a game today. Ha ha! Aren't you right, Jason? That's coming up at halftime. I felt bad for poor Maria Taylor, who clearly, like, was just informed, we need you to do us a favor and laugh no matter what these gentlemen say.
It's in your contract. Yes.
Chargers are going to Jacksonville, the AFC South champions. Jaguars. The Jaguars are underdogs, getting 2.5 points.
I love it.
against
Say it
the
again.
Chargers.
Who's playing in the game?
Jaguars. The Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Jaguars. Yeah, there's
Jaguars.
been some debate about how this.
And who are the
animal's
Ravens playing
pronounced.
on Sunday night?
Playing the Bengals.
The Bengals, the old Bengals. Griffin, who has no Baltimore accent that I know of, all of a sudden you get a couple of times or you get to hear it, and I appreciate that.
Baltimore, Maryland.
All right, this game is interesting, right? Because as I think it's going to be easy for everybody to say it's a home team getting points that's been playing well. Just do that. But it's only 2.5 points, and I do think that this is a 50-50 crapshoot type of a football game. I think that we need to be more respectful to it. I think we're also alarmed by the fact that the Chargers, for whatever insane reason, decided to try in Week 18, despite there being nothing to play for, and lost to the Broncos. And I think that's affecting the way that we think about all of this. All that being said, as I set it up, I'm still not going to bite. The Jaguars are getting points. I think it would be insane not to take them. Give me the Jaguars.
Playoff football, you have to be able to stop the run just a little bit. I mean, every once in a while. The Chargers simply cannot do that. And you got a team in Jacksonville who has got maybe one of the 3 hottest quarterbacks, going right now. They've got their run game fixed. They can score points. I'm going to take Jacksonville. The points are immaterial. I think it's a field goal game either way. But I don't trust that rush defense from the Chargers.
Melissa.
I think I am going to stick with the Jaguars as well. Look,
We could all be hanging out
we
together
could really,
eating pork and
seriously,
beans in a
this is
couple
the deal.
weeks.
No, here's the thing. Trevor Lawrence, I watch a ton of college football. I've always been college football all the way. But Trevor Lawrence, I've been impressed with how he's handled the
No, he
adversity.
didn't play all that well against the Titans last
Correct.
week.
But, week 18. But at the same time, especially with the streak that they're going on coming into this game as well, I think that they're one of those teams like the Bengals. You're getting hot at the right time. You know what I mean? And the upward trajectory is important here, especially I think when you get into the playoffs. So I think that I am going to go with the Jaguars as well.
All right.
Yeah, I'm taking the Jags as well. It feels like they're not technically the hottest team in football, but it feels like they are. And so yeah, I'm taking the Jags. Talking about the Chargers not stopping the run, that also helps me out.
Charles? Yeah.
So last week, when we were discussing the Titans and Jags,
It looks like Charles prepared some research here, which I don't care for. I don't like this at all.
Okay, so I just looked this up real quick. The Chargers' playoff history. They have not made the playoffs since 2018. I don't.
No, we know what happened in 2018. We don't need the reminder.
I don't even
a-hole. By the way, look at this guy who said
2018?
He says he's a Vikings fan coming in here in a Ravens shirt today.
Yeah, I'm a Vikings fan, but I had to support
Minnesota?
Baltimore. Yeah, I'm from Minnesota.
Yeah. All right. What were you gonna do? Fight him?
No, I was just like, you like Kirk Cousins? Okay.
Yeah. It was
But I don't even think Staley was the coach back in 2018. Correct?
He was not.
Yeah. So he has already shown very questionable judgment calls
No.
in the regular season.
No.
So what?
Name one.
Could I trust him in a playoff setting now? Just last week, he put himself in a scenario.
Yeah,
where
try
he
to get
didn't
all of his
start-
players hurt in a game that didn't matter. Yeah.
So tying back to last week, I tried to distinguish between could I trust the Jags on a streak or Mike Vrabel. Now going into this week, Jags are still on a streak. Can I trust them versus now Brandon Staley? I think I do. I picked the Titans last week. I'm going to pick the Jaguars this week.
Very good. Very good. What is everybody else doing for this one?
A little bit split. Actually, not too split. Paul and John Proctor on the Chargers. Everybody else is jagging around.
Jagging off is what we call it, Griffin. We call it jagging off.
Sunday at 1 o'clock. This one's on CBS. The Miami Dolphins are going to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Bills are minus 13.5 point favorite.
I mean, it's insane for there ever to be a 13.5 point spread in a play. I mean, like it's bat-ass insane. But you're not going to catch me being the one. You're not going to get me to be the guy that's picking against the Bills. No chance. Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, Skyler, whatever his last name
Thompson.
is, Thompson, is that
Yes,
it?
he seemed like a nice young gentleman.
He's not going into Buffalo with all the emotion. We don't know what they're gonna, what's going on.
There's a lot of people are speculating they're going to try to have DeMar Hamlin run out on the field before the game. Yeah.
I don't know if they have him run out on the field or they have him up in a box or something and show him beforehand, or I don't know if they ring a bell or anything in Buffalo or anything like that before the game. But it's just too much, and he's not going in there and beating the Bills, and I don't care what this line would have been. I'm not picking against the Bills this week.
Melissa?
Yeah, I mean, I would not want to be any team playing the Buffalo Bills right now with everything that they've gone through, and obviously, again, having that home field advantage in Buffalo, by the way, which is a tough place to play during this time of year. And I think the line went from like 10.5 to what it is now, 13. And especially without Tua, what are we even doing, right? They've been 1-3 without Tua.
They too have been cheeks, as the kids like to say.
Yes. So I think there's no, and I watched the first game between these two teams too when it was in Buffalo, and it was like that insane snowstorm, and it was a great game.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, but Tua was playing. So I think without Tua,
was that the game when Ken Dorsey lost his mind? Was it that game?
No, that was the first game.
Sunday night
it was
game.
the first game.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was a couple
all
weeks
right.
ago, Sunday night game, and it
it was the game in Miami. That's a great point. It was the game in Miami. You're right.
So I think Bills all the way.
All right.
Yeah, McDermott is 10-2 against the Dolphins since he took over in 2017, including 6-0 in Buffalo. Average margin of victory in those games, 15 points. I gave away on Live Casino's Twitter this morning. The 11-3 double-digit favorites against the spread since 2010. 5-1 in Wildcard Weekend. Bills. I mean, there's nothing.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Charles.
So he just mentions the great record against the Dolphins. In this season alone, they have a 3-point win over the Dolphins and a 2-point win over the Dolphins. And both of those, Tua went 17 for 30, 2 touchdowns, and give me a sec, 13 of 18, 180 yards and a touchdown.
Well, that's not all that overwhelming, actually.
Exactly. And those were 3-point wins and 2-point wins. This is a 13.5-point line. I think I'm going to take the Dolphins to cover the 13.
Whoa!
Just off this season alone.
Well, are we sure? Are we sure that you don't just love pork and beans? Is that?
I think I have to be different. And also, I think Tomlinson can do 180 yards and a touchdown.
All right. This is.
That was in the snowstorm.
That was really interesting. Very good.
All right, Charles. He is the lone person on the Dolphins. Everybody.
You want to give us a wolf? You want to give us a howl? You want to? Oh. There we go. Nice.
All right, at 4:30, Also on Sunday, the Giants are going to Minnesota, taking on the Vikings, and the Vikings 3-point favorites.
I really wish this was 3.5. Like, if it was just 3.5, I would want to bite on the Giants. But I'm not going to. Look, I have no faith in either one of these teams big picture-wise, but it's 3 points. It's the Vikings at home against an uninspiring Giants team. Give me the Vikings.
So this may be a change for me because I don't remember what I did at like whatever time I sent it last night. What time's the game?
It's at 4:30. It's not a primetime game, but it's also not a 1 p.m. It is right. It really does.
It's right. It's just on that line. We don't know. Have we gotten any word on Dalvin Cook? Is he in for sure?
I think so, but I will double check that right now.
I've really trusted Minnesota all year, and I have a tough time trusting the Giants, but this feels like a push game for me.
No, I agree with that.
And because it feels like a push game, I'm going to take the points, and I'm going to take the Giants.
Okay, all right, very good.
Is it Burkhardt and Olsen on this one, or is it Joe Davis?
Do they have another? How many Fox games?
There's
are
2
this
Fox.
weekend?
The
I
Niners.
I have no idea. I'll double check.
I feel like Greg Olsen's going to be on the Kittle game just because.
You're very interested in this.
Well, I feel
What
like if it's Joe Davis, I think Kirk Cousins.
Oh my God!
Look who's here. We'll speed through. Carson, do you want to be in for picks this week?
I'm probably not going to be.
Oh, that's right. He's got to go to He's got to go back to school. Here. Hang tight for a second before you head out to the Guitar Center. All right. Okay. Next, go.
I'm taking the Giants. I
right.
think they're healthy. I like Saquon.
Oh, we skipped Melissa. Way to go, jerk!
Sorry,
I got
Melissa.
thrown off by the chicken tenders. Really
Jacked
screwed
up
with
by the
me,
chicken.
right?
No,
Yeah, right.
Look, I remember watching. This was like way back earlier in the season when the Ravens were playing the Giants. I just remember like, what is this offense? Like when I was like watching film of it before the game, like it's just basically like Saquon. I feel like Daniel Jones is like not a good quarterback. But and as much as I hate to say it, as if someone who used to cover the Packers, I think the Vikings are going to come out and win this one. They have only lost one home game this entire season, and they've won 5 straight home against the Giants. So I think the odds are pretty much in their favor.
How about that? All right, very good. Charles?
So the announcers for the game are Kevin Burkhardt
There you
and Greg
go.
Olsen.
So Joe Davis, and they're on the it's so weird.
So the -3 is very tough for me because I watched them kick a game-winning field goal just earlier this season.
That did just happen a couple weeks ago, right?
But I'm gonna just keep this simple. I have to ride for my team.
There you go. Next, or what did everybody else pick? Yeah.
This one a little more split. Glenn's on the Vikings, so I'm on the Giants. John Proctor on the Giants. Kyle is on the Giants. And then so is Ken. Ken is on the Giants as well. So on the Vikings is Glenn and Paul and Andrew Stecco.
No. Oh no. They're all the guys that are bad at this.
You know what? For a month he's been better than all.
That's true. He's been hot lately. Hopefully that continues.
Then we're gonna skip ahead to Monday night. Cowboys are going to Tampa to take on the 8-9 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa is getting 2.5 points at home, so the Cowboys are the favorites.
Anybody have a coin?
Golf
I
usually does.
have no effing idea what might happen in this game. No clue. How do you trust either one of these teams at all? Like the Cowboys, the team you wanted to buy into until they
tell you how to trust them.
Steaming pile, right? Yeah. Like steaming pile they left on the field in Washington last week when they were trying because they didn't know if the NFC East was still up for grabs. But the Buccaneers stink. Like they stink. What do I do with this?
The fact that a below 500 team is in the playoffs, I think that's so wrong.
And they get a home game. I don't. Yeah, you want to let them in the playoffs? It's fine. I'm gonna say this forever. Same thing about the Jaguars, who didn't finish below 5, but they're 9-8. They shouldn't have a home game. You should not be guaranteed a home game just for winning your stupid division because you were able to beat the Texans and Colts. That should not guarantee you a home playoff game. All this being said, 2.5 is the number.
2.5 is the number.
That helps me in no way whatsoever, right? That really does nothing for me. I'm going to say Tom Brady. I'm just going to say this stupid Buccaneers. I don't know why. It makes no sense, but I'm going to say Tom Brady. That's my pick.
I think Tom Brady retires at halftime and Dallas wins.
Okay, sure. Why not? Melissa.
Why not?
This is a very difficult game to pick.
I know. Well, here's the thing. I'm like looking up people that like Tom Brady, 35-12 in the playoffs in his career. Pretty good. Not
bad.
Mike McCarthy, who I don't have a lot of faith in as a head coach. No offense. 10
I'm very offended.
10-9. I'm just saying for the people out there that are Mike McCarthy fans. 10-9 in the playoffs. I think I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers in this one too. I feel like you can when you come to those kinds of quarterbacks, you know what I mean. There's a reason why they are who they are, and they can handle these situations, especially with their experience under pressure, all that. So I'm gonna go with the Bucs too.
All right,
good pick. Teams that are 500 or worse, like the Buccaneers, are 8-3 against the spread since 2005.
Oh wow.
Did you get the sauce, Carson? It's in the box. Oh, okay. All right. I was like, my God. It better be in the box.
Teams with a losing record.
There's some sauce in the box.
Teams with a losing record, 3-1 ATS in that span. Tom Brady, 7-0 against the Cowboys in his career. Since 2019, as an underdog, he is 4-0 straight up and against the spread.
Oh my!
In the playoffs,
I feel much better. Thank you for reinforcing my selection.
He's still Tom Brady. I'm never gonna count him out because he's ruined my life. So
wow.
So the Bucs taking the Bucs and the points.
I believe he's been playing for longer than you've been alive.
I know.
Yeah,
he's been playing about the same time.
Right. Oh my God.
I believe his career started before you were born. Charles
started after I was born.
Right.
Before
maybe allegedly.
Pretty sure before I was born.
Definitely before Charles was born. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that either.
So this game really makes me think of being a Vikings fan. The year we had Brett Favre went to the playoffs, we hosted the Cowboys and absolutely blasted.
By the way, can I? Which part of the?
Well, he's on the team.
Is he a we?
He's
Is
on
it
the
we
team.
guy? Okay, fine.
Right.
That's fine. I give my mom crap for that too. It's a we
okay.
thing, yeah.
That gives me very similar vibes to this game, and like Griffin said, 7-0 against Dallas. I think Dallas is going to do the usual. Dak's going to keep throwing picks. Mike McCarthy's going to have questionable play calling and decisions.
And then he's going to get fired, and Sean Payton's going to go there next year.
Ooh.
Yeah, the season ends with them having huge questions at quarterback and coach.
I think they're kind of locked in on quarterback, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything they can do about that.
Contractually, but they'll still be asking questions.
All right, very good. What is everybody else doing?
Melissa, you said Bucs, right?
Yes.
Okay, but she's on the Bucs. In the pick'em, so John is on the Cowboys, and then Ken is on the Cowboys. Everybody else, Buccaneers.
All right. And finally,
it is the Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday night.
I'm just gonna go ahead and try one of these. While we do this, I just wanted to try.
Glenn, have you never had that?
I have never had.
I've never had it either. The Raising Cane's.
No. We're not giving away free advertising.
What's right there?
The chicken tender store. Yes, Carson.
Have you never had a chicken tender?
Okay, I've never had one from the chicken tender store, so I'm gonna try it right now with the chicken tender sauce.
With the sauce and.
All right.
What's it called? Caniac sauce? Is that what it's called?
We're not supposed to
mention
the name.
Oh, sorry. I'm talking about the Carolina Hurricanes.
God, you all are terrible.
The sauce is delicious.
I'm talking about
delicious.
The sauce is outstanding.
I'm talking about
It's not going to go above. I want to make it very clear. I'm not double dipping. I'm going to the other side of the chicken tender.
I'm not.
All right.
A germ crazy person. Okay.
All right.
I want like a small one.
Life changing, right?
No.
It is.
It's not life changing. Now.
Yes, it is.
Now,
the sauce is.
That said, it's good.
Yeah, right. It's not great. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
It's good. The sauce is a 10.5. It's 10.5. It's outstanding. The chicken tender, for the most part, is a chicken tender.
No, I think chicken's good.
It's good, but it's not. It doesn't strike me in some sort. It's not like they did something impossible with the breading that makes it the most delicious chicken tender I've ever had. How long do you have to wait? An hour? Hour and 15 minutes.
Hour and 15.
Now I get it. Today was the day it opened, so it won't be like that every day. I understand.
Well, it
that.
might.
No.
It might be.
People get crazy about
It's
their
not worth. Here, you can
chicken
pass.
tender
You
restaurant.
can pass it over to the boys. Let them.
Okay, wait,
oh,
hold on, you're about to
sorry. No, you do what you need. All right.
All right, the Bengals -8.5.
The Bengals. The Bengals.
Bengals.
It seems obvious to take the Bengals given what the Ravens are going through, but 8.5 is just enough for me to bite. It's just enough for me to say there is a path for the Ravens to play defense and run the ball and make this interesting. Will I end up regretting it? Probably. But 8.5 is a big number for when you remember that the Ravens have had some success against Joe Burrow defensively. So 8.5 is enough for me to bite, and I'll take the Ravens.
I almost agree with you, but I don't.
I get it. I get it.
I don't know who's playing quarterback. the Ravens had the only chance they have is they have to make this into just a backyard brawl and somehow get a pass rush. And
not just a rush. They have to get him on the ground.
No,
which they
have to get him on the ground. They have to get him on the ground. They have to get him on the ground more than one time. They have to hit him multiple times. They have to make this. If
Melissa, are you
everything
a convert? Are you a convert to the? You seem. Are you all in?
It's pretty good. I like Zaxby's a lot, which I know you hate.
We don't give anybody free advertising.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
And then there's the other place of chicken.
Yes, we can give them free advertising.
No,
we can give them advice. We can give it to them.
It's not the place that you're thinking about. I haven't mentioned them so far today.
Oh, okay.
But they have
iPops.
Yeah, I
love.
I mean, spicy tenders there. Like, sign me up.
I get it. Nobody's gonna hate on.
If they had spicy tenders, I might be more of a
okay. All right.
But this pretty. I mean, it's pretty good.
You guys had the chicken tenders before, both of you. Carson's at Ole Miss. What about you, Charles?
You go to Ole Miss?
Had you tried the?
Yeah, I've had them before. I'm from Virginia.
You guys aren't nearly.
They got a couple places out there.
You guys aren't nearly as excited about this as.
Glenn, you want to hear a fun fact?
Yeah, it's a fun.
I've been to the original Raising Cane's in Baton Rouge.
We're not doing free advertising.
I've been to the original one.
God. All right. Anyway, there you go.
It's over now. You might as well just do it.
Stop
it's
it.
Said like seven times.
All right. So you're going.
You're
going with the Bengals, Ken. That's the ultimate.
I guess I had a lot more to say, but I'm going.
Sorry. We gotta go. We got David Chao coming up. We gotta go. Melissa.
Ravens. Give me a pick 6.
All right.
Joe Burrow, 19-4 ATS in his last 23 starts. 92% of the money at BetMGM is on the Bengals. I'm taking the Ravens.
Oh, look at you.
Y'all some purple wearing. Oh, my goodness.
I'm going to take the Ravens as well. They have a similar line to the Seattle-San Fran game, and I trust them more than Seattle does against the two respective opponents.
Very good. What about everybody else? Where are we?
2 persons on the Bengals, Kyle and Ken.
Ooh. Oh, that means we have Stecco.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, we do have Stecco on the Ravens.
No. That's not good. All right, KZ, love you, buddy. Appreciate you. We'll figure it out. I'm not around next week, but we'll figure out how we're doing picks. And then 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, we'll party. We'll party with some pork and beans. Thanks, pal. We'll talk to you then.
Okay.
That's Ken Zalis joining us. I got to get a break in before we talk to Dr. Chao. Got to do that. Dr. David Chao will join us next. We'll talk about Lamar. Melissa Kim is here from BAL. And we got some chicken tenders. We're very excited about that. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we recognize Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman as our 2022 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, and he sits down with us to discuss how his arrival in Baltimore was simultaneous with the Birds' turnaround. Also inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of the year throughout the local sports scene. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at over $60,000 and over $64,000 for lateral officers, with $10,000 signing bonuses available. Plus, cadets start at over $32,000. Great benefits are available like medical, dental, and vision insurance, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days per calendar year with no limit, career advancement to more than 20 specialized units, and more, with further incentives for military service members and veterans. A passion for service, a career for life with the Baltimore County Police Department. Find out more at joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. Must be a United States citizen, have a valid driver's license, and a high school diploma or GED equivalent.
Check out Jeremy Kahn's daily picks at PressBoxOnline.com as he tries to find you daily winners. And speaking of winners, here's a man who once won a media curling contest, and I don't think anything else. He's Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on the GCR. Melissa Kim from BAL is with us this morning. You can cash in on the Ravens-Bengals primetime wildcard game. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers, sign up and bet $20 with Caesars Sportsbook and automatically get $100 in additional free bets. Just bet $20 and get another $100 to play with. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers now to start winning. So, a few weeks back, we had our next guest on the show, and we talked about the varying timelines that could exist for Lamar Jackson, but I don't think any of us believed that we would get through the wild card round of the playoffs and not see Lamar Jackson on the field. So what's going on? Obviously, he doesn't know exactly, but he is far more educated than we are. He is our friend Dr. David Chao, Sports Injury Central, SIC Score, at Pro Football Doc, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Dr. Chao, it's Glenn. Melissa is here with me. Thank you so much, as always, taking the time for us.
I appreciate you having me on, and you know, when I was on before, I said this is a multi-week injury for Lamar Jackson. That he would be lucky to return by the end of December. And I heard whispers about contract. Is this related to the contract in December from other beat reporters? Some who called me, I'm not going to say who. And I said, no, I'm backing Lamar. He's a mobile quarterback. He needs to be explosive. And if he's a step slow, he can't do it. It doesn't at all surprise me that he's going to miss week 16 and 17. Maybe it was a slightly higher grade. I also expected Lamar to miss week 18. And as proven by Mark Andrews resting, J.K. Dobbins resting, Tyler Huntley even resting. The Ravens were clearly tooling for the wild card round. But I fully expected Lamar to play in the wild card round. And now it looks like it's not happening with the DNPs. So my opinion now has to shift a little bit.
Okay, so from a medical standpoint, you don't think at this point that it's likely that this is still that he couldn't be playing football?
Okay. I don't know Lamar Jackson. I am from afar, as a former head team physician, trying to analyze video and look at comments and reports and synthesize injury analysis. What we do, of course, at Sports Injury Central, SICScore.com, is injury analysis, not injury reporting.
Right.
And that's a big difference, right? Injury reporting is what the team officially says, and then you replay it. We do injury analysis, which is why every week this December, when Coach Harbaugh would say, well, we'll see, maybe a chance or something like that. Nothing that we said Lamar's continuing to be out. And that was the same thing last year with the ankle bone bruise last December. So we do injury analysis. And with that analysis, the video of his PCL was grade 1 or 2, which meant a multi-week absence and gave us assurance that certainly by 6 weeks, which is 6 weeks would be this wildcard weekend, that Lamar Jackson, in theory, could play. Now, at our site, his SIC score is not 100. We are not saying he has to be or should be 100% healthy. Because of the style of play and how explosive he is, we're not saying he will be effective running or explosive. So his 6-4 is only at 74. But we fully expected him to try to play at less than 100% because we all know the Ravens need him if they want to have a chance to move on to the next round. If he were an immobile quarterback, I believe he would be playing already. I'm not saying that he's making the wrong decision, and I'm not saying he's faking injury. He had a real injury. I'm saying he's now fair to question because it seems clear that he has not practiced and he's now very unlikely to play, that it's fair to question how much of this is related to not having a long-term contract. I'm not saying it 100% is. I am not source reporting this. I am purely looking at it from the outside saying, I can see how a player says, my knee's not 100%. I don't have a long-term deal. Why should I push myself? Or perhaps, why should I play and not look that good and then hurt my own negotiations in terms of what's happening? I don't know what's inside Lamar's brain. I'm not pretending to know. I'm just saying what I said all along with I think he is returning to play for the wild card, and if he does not, I would flip to saying that there may be more to it. And the more to it is either the contract or Jordan Schultz just reported extreme swelling in his knee, very limited. If extreme swelling is true and he's very limited, maybe it's not at all related to the contract, but there is a whole set of other problems. The only way you're extremely limited and so extremely swollen still is maybe if there was a grade 3 severe PCL tear, perhaps additional cartilage damage, which then opens up the door to the possibility of needing surgery. Most PCLs do not. If you look at other PCLs around the league, let's compare it to a quarterback. Last season, Zach Wilson, not exactly the same mobility as Lamar Jackson, but he does run. He returned to play in 4 weeks from his PCL as a rookie. Now, he didn't run much his first 2 games back. I'll give you that, okay? So he wasn't 100%, but yet he returned to play in a regular season game. Dalton Schultz, tight end for the Cowboys this season, early season, had a PCL, filed. And by the way, I'm not saying all PCLs are the same, but Dalton Schultz with the PCL filed, missed 1 week, returned the next week, re-aggravated it, missed another week, and returned the week after that. Once again, well under the 6-week timeline. And once again, I'm not saying he was 100%. Ezekiel Elliott last year indicated after the season that he played through a PCL. Maybe his was very mild, and he said it affected him for a majority of the season because he kept trying to play. I am not saying there's a fake injury here. I'm not saying that there's shenanigans on. It's purely I'm being difficult here and trying to leverage. But you can see how if he's not 100%, it might play into it. Or if there really is extreme swelling, there's a different set of worries to be concerned about here.
Dr. Chao, I'm really glad you said all that because actually, so I'm with the team pretty much every single day. And Coach Harbaugh said on Friday that kind of a little bit of what you said, that, you know, different people respond to injuries differently and when they come back. Do you think that that is obviously a fair argument? You said that a little bit too. Just to explain to people that there isn't a time, like, you know, there isn't like a set timeline, like you said. It's 3 weeks for this injury, 3 weeks for this injury, and whatnot. It just always depends on the person. Is that fair to say?
That is very fair to say, and I hope your listeners are listening to the whole context of what I said, and I hope it's not just a soundbite. Because a soundbite perspective, you could certainly create a situation where it looked like I was super critical of Lamar. Right. I am not super critical of Lamar. Yes, I don't know the degree. Maybe this is a higher degree injury, and maybe there is still swelling. But if there's extreme swelling, you've got a different worry right now. But and look, you cannot compare Lamar to Zach Wilson.
Right.
Zach Wilson is a mobile quarterback. Lamar Jackson is an explosive runner. And I also said fairly that Ezekiel Elliott said the PCL bothered him all season. And I'm not saying Lamar Jackson is faking injury, ready to go and dogging it. I'm saying that I thought he would give it a try. If he had a contract, he might give it a try. He might not do very well, but he would give it a try to play and do what he could. And if he cannot possibly give it a try, you have to have bigger worries. That's the full context. I agree with Coach Harbaugh. Everyone's a little bit different. And, you know Coach Harbaugh way better than I do. I just see his comments. I don't know John at all. I know his brother Jim pretty well, but I can't impugn that on John at all in terms of styles. And, Coach Harbaugh has a unique way of talking, and, you can interpret it as well as I can.
Dr. David Chao, former Chargers team doctor, of course, at Pro Football Doc on Twitter. He's with us here on GCR. Doctor, there's a sentiment that will be shared by some. Well, even if there's still swelling, even if you're going through this, you just put a brace on, take a shot, and go do it. When you hear something like that, can you explain to me, like, what that shot really is doing? Like, whether or not that even makes sense if we're talking about, as you pointed out, was reported by Jordan Schultz, extreme swelling potentially?
Well, if he had extreme swelling, I'm sure during this 5+ week time period, 6 weeks come game time, his knee would have been drained. It helps the healing. There's the potential of PRP or cortisone injections. As an NFL head team physician, there are times I've drained someone's knee pregame to allow them to play. However, you don't want to numb the knees because you can do more damage and not know it. Yes, maybe a brace. And obviously a brace on an explosive runner is not good, right? And maybe you can make the argument that it's better for the team not to have a gimpy Lamar Jackson, but that's a different argument. I mean, right now we're still talking DMPs as of last look. So, yes, there are some things that you can do, but to be fair to Lamar, anything you do doesn't make him an explosive runner like he is. And the other thing that I would say to defend Lamar, I'll give you an example, and I suppose I need HIPAA clearance before I say the name. We had a running back once who, through any upper extremity injury, would play through anything. And I'm not making Lamar a running back, but he was an explosive runner, this running back. But when it came to his knees, he called them the money makers, and he was very cautious, and I could understand why. Maybe there's a part of that with Lamar in terms of, listen, maybe if you really talk to him, it really has nothing to do with the contract and the lack of security long term. But I just think it's fair to ask the question at this point, a question that I said was unfair to ask just last week.
Let me follow that up really quickly. Because people say, hey, it would be insane for Lamar to go out there and risk further injuring his knee. And I think a lot of people would point out to, say, RG3 and the injuries that he went through and how hell-bent he was about trying to get back quickly. Is that reality? Like, if he went out, was still dealing with swelling and tried to push through with a brace and tried to push through, would he be at any greater risk of further injury than he would be, if this had never happened to begin with?
Well, if he plays this weekend, he's at greater risk for significant injury to his healthy right knee than if he didn't play. So you can't say zero on the left knee, okay? So that's fair. Is it one of those things where there is super high impending risk that he's going to turn it into something worse? Typically, no, but it's very hard to play through if you have extreme swelling. You won't be functional at all when you talk about draining it. Now, that's a fair argument from some fans to say, why do it, don't risk it? But doesn't that very of itself play into the lack of a long-term contract?
Dr. Chao, so let's say in this situation, Lamar likely not going to play this weekend. We're looking at Tyler Huntley and Anthony Brown right now. Tyler Huntley did not throw it all in practice yesterday, did not throw it all last week, and obviously we know Anthony Brown started with the Week 18 game against the Bengals. He says, the team says he has tendonitis in his throwing shoulder and his wrist. What are we looking at here in terms of Huntley potentially playing on Sunday as opposed to Anthony Brown? How much does tendonitis affect a quarterback in this situation?
Well, the report of tendonitis fits because as we looked at video, we didn't see any significant traumatic injury. And so it's sort of an overuse and soreness thing. So one can only hope for the Ravens' sake that this is an overuse thing and they're resting him in preparation for him to try and play. They've obviously made the calculation that I hope their calculation is, we're better off resting Tyler some and limiting his work this week because it saves him better for the weekend. And I hope it's not, he really can't play this weekend and we don't have a choice. I hope it's performance.
I hope so, too, for what it's worth. That makes two of us. Doc, what can we plug for you? I know you're doing just about everything, including performing surgeries still to this day. Like, what in the world? How many things can we plug for you, my friends?
Well, thank you. I am doing surgery, but we have a team of people. I'm not technically the only pro football doc. We have a team of doctors. We do NBA. We do Major League Baseball. We commented heavily on Carlos Correa and his situation, Steph Curry and his return. And we even have video now today on DeMar Hamlin. We finally have addressed the question of could he return to play football now that he's out of the hospital. So we do a lot of different things. And besides being useful for fantasy and the six scores, and for those of you in legal wagering states, that may be a plus. But the take-home message is we're really the only place that does injury analysis, not injury reporting. And we read between the lines with what we use our pro sports team experience to try and translate for fans.
Again, as he mentioned, SICScore, SICScore.com is the website for you to check it out. At ProFootballDoc on Twitter is how you follow him. Doc, always appreciate it. I hope that we're not having to do any more of these in the next few months about Lamar Jackson specifically.
Well, I'll agree with you. I hope we don't have to do any more of these about Lamar Jackson and, what it might mean. But perhaps we can hope that we do it again this season because that would mean
the Ravens. That's a great point. Great point. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you as always. All right.
All right, thanks.
That's Dr. David Chao at ProFootballDoc on Twitter with, I thought it was measured, what he was saying.
Yeah, I thought it was, what I really appreciate about what he said is he gave all perspectives, right?
Right.
Like, if it's this situation, this is what I think happened. If this injury was further along than we thought, you know what I mean? I think that perspective is so important from someone like him because, as we've all seen on, in the peanut gallery and the Twitterverse and all that, like people can make so many assumptions and say like, about the contract, about whatever. And I think that perspective is so important.
Melissa, to your point, we talked earlier, I don't believe for a second that this is a holdout, right? But then the question becomes more defined, right? Like, is there a world in which he could force himself to try to get on the field and risk whatever he's risking and not be at all Lamar Jackson, but would say, I don't, why would I be doing that right now? Like, in what world does that make sense?
I think that perspective was so important from him because, do you want to go out there and risk it and not be 100%? Or do you want to be able to be 100% to prove, like, hey, I am worth X amount of dollars?
Correct. That is where I feel. And look, I don't know. None of us know. We keep saying this. We don't know. We're just trying to get as much information as we possibly can about what's going on. Hey, the NFL has announced Atlanta will be the host site for a potential Buffalo-Kansas City AFC Championship game. So if it's the Bills and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, they will play that game in Atlanta. So all of you that were rooting for it to be in Lambeau or somewhere miserable and outside and cold, you're going to be disappointed. They would play that game in a dome in Atlanta instead. Okay, we got a couple things we still need to do before we get out of here today. By the way, today's show is also brought to you by the Baltimore County Police Department. If you're thinking about a career change, they are hiring cadets at $30,000, over $30,000, and then entry-level officers over $60,000, lateral officers over $64,000, with a $10,000 signing bonus available for lateral officers or entry-level officers. It was very awkward. It was very clumsy, me trying to say all of that. I don't know what's going on with that.
It's a
lot of words, no doubt. Great benefits available as well. Find out more. Join BaltimoreCountyPD.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, have a high school diploma or GED equivalent, and possess a valid driver's license. Charles is going to tease a new segment that he's going to be doing for us. Plus, we're going to get a tidbit, and we're going to get tubular before we wrap things up. And then you're going to hear segment number 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show with Kyle Hamilton. That's on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Looking for some excitement in the new year? Laurel Park has plenty of live horse racing events to spice things up this January. The much-anticipated winter meet kicks off on January 1st, plus we've got special MLK holiday racing on Monday, January 16th, and the Winter Carnival Stakes on Saturday, January 21st. Winter may be cold, but the racing at Laurel Park is hot. Learn more about upcoming January events by visiting laurelpark.com.
Another Orioles season is in the books, and the Bat-Around was there every step of the way as the Birds posted their first winning season in 6 years. And after promoting 2 #1 overall prospects in Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, Mike Elias has said it's liftoff from here. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and along with my co-host Zach Goodman, we'll be here every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon all off season, discussing every signing, trade, and waiver claim as we navigate the cold winter months that lead to spring training. You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or listen live at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. And if you miss a show, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. So tune into the Bat-Around with Paul Valley and Zach Goodman every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
It's the perfect time to sign the young basketball fan in your life up for a membership in the Retriever Kids Club. It includes free youth admission to all regular season UMBC home games, plus a t-shirt and a drawstring backpack. Membership is only $35. It makes a great gift. Visit UMBCRetrievers.com/Kids Club for more info. Membership is available for kids 12 and under in the Retriever Kids Club. Again, UMBCRetrievers.com/Kids Club.
If you can't listen or watch live, you can subscribe to the show via Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review while you're there. Or, if lying isn't your thing, we'll take a 3.5-star review too.
If you missed it, Stan the Fan, Charles and Ross Grimsley caught up with former MLB pitcher Jim Gott, who, of course, famously, his first career win was the same day as Game 1 of Cal Ripken's 26-32 streak, which is a really neat story. And you can find that right now by going to PressBoxOnline.com/video or YouTube.com/PressBoxSports. Stan the Fan, Charles, Ross Grimsley, catching up with Jim Gott. Melissa Kim has been with us all morning. So, Melissa, I want you to give our friend Charles some advice here. Charles is an aspiring young broadcaster. And so Carson's been doing Young Utes. That's been the segment we've been doing, Carson, for the last little while. And I presented it because Carson's going to be going back to school here in a couple weeks. I said to Charles, hey, you can take over. You can do that if you'd like. And the segment essentially is just telling me what's going on with young people because I'm very...
I love this.
Right, it's a good idea. Now,
this is brilliant.
Now, no, Charles decided he wanted to go a different way. He said, I'd like to do something else. I'm a big fight fan. That's my thing. So
fight,
I said...
Like UFC fight?
Right, like UFC
like
and...
boxing?
Oh, we did... Yep, hello? So, I don't like that at all. It sounds like the cord didn't solve all of our problems. Go ahead, try it again. Let me see what happens. No. Okay, we'll figure that out after the show. That'll be an after the show issue.
Yes.
Wimpy headed right back to Guitar Center. Might be the case. All right, go ahead.
But yes, UFC, boxing, really into mixed martial arts. My favorite fighters in Bellator right now. So yeah.
All right. So he said, what if I did like news from the world of fighting? And we did a segment about it. I said, absolutely. So he's going to do a segment moving forward once a week called Fighting Words. Is going to be the segment. And what I want is like 3 different big stories from the week between boxing, UFC, whatever it is, in the fight community. Give me 3 big stories each week that are worthy of talking about. Now, this is tough because it's kind of niche, and I might not have anything to offer because there are literally going to be times where I've never heard of these people, right, that are involved with this.
But that's why he's here.
Sometimes you need to be informative. Sometimes you need to be, that's the idea. So we're going to tease it this week. He's going to give us one example of a story that he would include in Fighting Words. Then I want you to give him some suggestions as a broadcaster, as a very accomplished, highly successful broadcaster, and we're going to go from there, all right? And then I want you to grade him. That's important. And be honest, okay? If he
Please
sucks,
be
I
honest.
want you to tell him.
all the help.
I want you to say it this way. This sucks. Consider a different life path, all right? That's what I want you to do. No, I would like you if you did that. Okay.
All right, so here we are. This is Fighting Words, and we're going to recap the previous week this time with Gervonta Davis. Obviously just came off a knockout win against Hector Garcia, and him in Premier Boxing broke an all-time gate for Capital One Arena, getting over $5 million in ticket revenue this past Saturday. Obviously, this provides good momentum for Tank and his camp going into Las Vegas come April against Ryan Garcia, big catchweight bout at 136 pounds. Given that he's sold out at a quasi-local outing, being in Washington, D.C., not quite Baltimore, combined with Hector Garcia basically saying, I couldn't see after the shot. He had to forfeit the match in the 9th round. It would seem that Tank would be seemingly at the top of the pound-for-pound rankings. But however, speculation has grown since his departure from Mayweather Promotions in November. Previous talk of the Mayweather protection, kind of the same thing that happened with Mayweather, not giving him kind of the talent that merited a top pound-for-pound ranking until he finally became 50-0. All this kind of started questions with other boxers in the lightweight division, particularly Devin Haney, Lomachenko, Kambosos, Teofimo. And Haney, in fact, commented on Take's previous fight, mentioning that he did have a sparring session with Hector Garcia. And he basically said Garcia was a tune-up and that he sparred him, and there was really nothing there. And Tank responded by mentioning that you'll see with this fight coming up, and obviously knocked him out in the 9th round. So going into the question, do we think Mayweather Promotion was holding Tank back from stiffer competition? And does this now fight with Ryan Garcia show that he's trying to fight those big stars within boxing?
Okay. All right. Now, Melissa, I'm going to let you go first. What did you think of the segment? What did you think of it?
No, I think that's good. I think you gave us a lot of information. I think that's really good. You ended with a question, which I really like because you're kind of letting the audience decide for themselves what do you think happened. I do like the context that you gave because, like we said, this is not a world that everybody is familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming more mainstream. I think people are becoming more interested. I thought it was good. But also, here's some feedback, whatever.
This is the part where she says, you suck and consider a different career path.
I would never say, slow down. I have a problem with that too. I'm a naturally fast talker. I think a lot of us in this business are naturally fast talkers. And this is something that I still work on sometimes as well. When you're talking and you're trying to make a point, like with the inflection in your voice goes up, because that makes me think like, oh, does he actually know what he's talking about or not? Make sure the inflection in your voice, this is a statement. Like, be like, the sky is blue. Bah. Like, you know what I mean? I think that would be my only piece of advice. But keep on doing more of them.
All right, two things that jumped out at me, because I think that's really good advice, first of all. So I would go a second way. It comes off robotic sometimes, right? Like it comes off instead of you're talking to me, not talking with me. We do our show a little bit different than other shows. Like sometimes, probably at WBAL, you have to talk to somebody. You're informing them. I want you to talk with me.
That's important.
Carson will tell you right off the bat, you're going to get interrupted about 100 times when you do these segments. Like I'm going to interrupt you constantly. All my train of thought is going to go to about 1 billion different places. You're going to start telling me about Gervonta Davis, and suddenly I'm going to end up talking about a time when I was in college and I went partying with some guy named Squee, right? Like, we're just going to go into that was a Brett Kavanaugh reference, yes, by the way. Like, that's where that came from, Squee. That's going to happen. Like, that's the way it's going to go because that's the way that I operate. So you got to be prepared to just go with it and then come right back. What I was worried about, and the reason why I didn't do it this week, is because I could hear how nervous you were. In your voice, I could hear the breaths. I could hear it, right?
See, that's why like the first couple shows, I wasn't so close to the mic because I was like, I don't want people to hear me breathing.
Yeah, that is an issue, right? Like I could hear that. There's no need to be nervous. There's no need to be nervous.
I already got this one out the way.
Don't even. And normally people tell you things like try to give you just none of it works. Like imagine everybody's in the.
Yeah, don't
like,
do that.
Stop.
Just the more that you do it, the better, the more comfortable you become.
So that's conversational.
Mm-hmm.
Conversational. Look at me. You're informing me, but you understand that I'm going to have questions, or I'm going to have things that I want to add, or some sort of relevance to it. Always remember, especially with subject this niche. What did I say? Niche. This niche. Yeah, right. I get my niches down in Georgia. And remember that a subject this niche. I'm just going to go with it moving forward. I think. The average person has no idea who you're talking about. Now, Gervonta, everybody knows, right? Like, especially around here, everybody knows. But nobody knows who, outside of boxing fans, Ryan Garcia, despite this is the big, like, showcase fight that everybody's talking about, the average person has no effing clue who Ryan Garcia is. Why do we care? Why is this a big fight? Like, why does this one matter more than the other one does? So you got to keep in mind, both quickly and perfunctly, you have to explain to me why I care or why I should care. When you something like this and you're talking about fighters, because, again, the overwhelming majority of average people have no idea who these fighters are. Other than that, the information's good. I agree with Melissa. Love the idea of throwing in a question at the end to try to make it conversational. That's a good thing. I'm going to always make it conversational anyway because that's just the way that I operate. But I like the idea. I think you're on to something. You're going to be ready to do all three when we come back in 2 weeks?
Yeah, definitely can work.
All right. Yeah. All right. Charles, fighting words. Still got to come up with a nickname before then. But fighting words would be a new segment each week on the show. And so we will dive into the world of all different fights. Fights coming up that weekend, the previous weekend, news from the fight world that week, things like that.
So do you think Mayweather Promotions was holding Tank back?
Listen to Griffin trying to listen to him.
Well, I think they were, but that's kind of the game of boxing.
That's what they do. Yeah, right. They want you to stockpile wins, look like a star, because that number matters. Like it matters when somebody sees 30-0 next to your name. Like it doesn't matter who you fought. That seems relevant.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed with this next fight coming up, they're doing something a little different, where Showtime and DAZN will be kind of competing for revenue share and pay-per-view buys.
How about that?
And I also had a question, could we see the promotions in the future competing like this as well?
No effing idea. No clue. I just don't.
We'll just kind of wait and see with this one in April.
Yeah, that's where we're at. All right, good job, man. Well done.
So that's a natural progression for Tank.
All right. Enough. We got to move on. We got to do other things. Thank you. Well done, Charles. Those are fighting words. Fighting words are going to be brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, which is always the best place to watch all of the fights. Any UFC card, any major boxing card, they show it in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. You can be there, not have to pay a penny in order to watch the fights and win money betting on them. That's the way to go. Melissa, do you remember like the first on-air thing you ever did anywhere? Do you remember what it was?
Maine hockey.
Maine hockey. Okay. Yeah. Were you doing play-by-play?
No, I was doing interviews and like packages and stand-up
okay.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Got it. Were you a hockey fan at that point? Did you?
I watched like a lot of college hockey.
Okay, so you were comfortable with like covering hockey. You weren't just like thrown in and you were like,
oh my God, what's happening? Yeah, no,
right.
I mean, if I can give one more piece of advice to the masses that want to do this, always walk in prepared, never be unprepared for anything. I cannot stress the importance of this. Even if you don't know the team or anything like that, like at least know the basic rules of the sport.
I was asked once if I wanted to do a track and field event, and it was a good paying job, and I said I don't know track. Actually, here's a straight shoot. DC United, the first time they tried to hire me to do play-by-play, I was like, I'm being as honest, I have not watched your team all season. I haven't seen a game. Like, I'm not telling you I wouldn't do it, but I want to be upfront with you. I think you could get somebody that's a little bit more connected. And the guy was like, no, but we want to hire you.
That's good.
And I said, cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I have a lot of studying to do over the course of the next few days. A lot of studying. And I spent legitimately every hour of every day studying for the next 3 days before I did my first DC United game when I did that. So Yeah.
Yeah, one of my first off-air gigs, I was a researcher and writer for the Olympics for NBC, and they gave us this gigantic folder of here are all the sports that you need to know.
But so do you know the rules to do you,
race walking and stuff like that? Yeah, I can tell
no.
you. Yeah, I swear to God.
What are the rules for race
walking?
walking?
Race walking, you have to make sure one part of your foot is always touching the ground. So when you're going up like that, your toe is coming up on one foot, your heel has to be touching the ground on the other foot before.
This has always been
one of
this is one of the biggest questions I've ever had in my life.
About race walking?
How is it just not? Why wouldn't you just start running?
Because
why
one
wouldn't
part of your
you?
Foot, it's wild. Just the rules and the nuances of every single sport in the Summer Olympics.
I still have questions
Crazy.
about it. I still have questions about why it's a sport, though. I still have questions. By the way, a straight shoot, I'll still do field hockey games sometimes, and I don't know. There's a whistle. I'm like,
something happened.
I just say a whistle on the field. That's literally what I say because
but you're observing what's happening.
That's where I'm
be
at.
prepared. That I cannot stress that enough. That will kind of.
And you were clearly
people.
quite prepared for that, Charles. I would almost say that you border on the line of being too prepared because you can't. If I derail you, if I go a different direction, you got to be willing to be ready to go with that. You can't be a slave to what you've written down either.
Better to be over-prepared than under-prepared.
All right. Good? You good with it? You comfortable?
All sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Charles. Well done, my friend. Well done. All right. He was very nervous. He was very nervous.
That's okay, though. You're always nervous.
I think it was because you were here,
Me?
too.
Oh,
right.
stop.
You're a professional. I'm just a dope.
Lies. All these lies.
That's the way that it goes. Let's get a tidbit. Griffin's got a tidbit for today. It's brought to you by the print issue of Press Box, which is available right now. It is our 2022 Best of issue. On the cover, our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, Adley Rutschman. You can find that right now for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. Read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. I have to apologize for something yesterday. Got a lot of feedback about it. I have to apologize. Josh Dobbs suffers from alopecia. I'm very sorry, and I did not
know this?
I did not know
So
that.
Charlie Villanueva back in the day.
I found that out. I got a couple of messages about that. I did not know that. I am extraordinarily sorry. I got that wrong yesterday. Well, I said he wasn't a good-looking man. Because as I was watching the game, I noticed that, and I had no idea, and now I feel like an a-hole. I'm very sorry. If I had known, I would have never said that out loud. I feel very, very bad about doing that. So... Sorry. I'm sure he's listening today because he doesn't have a football game to get ready for. I'm sure he's been troubled for the last 24 hours. And by the way, again, he's a rocket scientist. He's remarkable. I'm very, very sorry.
I guess I should apologize too since I was here and I didn't.
Yeah, you should have. Exactly right. Stepped in. Did you know?
No, I didn't know.
All right. Now, if you had known and you just let me, I'm going to fight you.
Yeah.
The fighting words next week is going to be about what I did to you. Son of a bitch.
Jamal Williams, he set the new Lions rushing touchdown record.
He did.
On Sunday
Swag
night.
daddy.
Yes, he passed.
Oh, you were around it with the Packers?
Yeah, I was there for his first. I just remember his first game. I think we were in Chicago or something like that. And one of the other older reporters, she was like, his Twitter handle's J Swag Daddy. Melissa, can we say this on air? What is a Swag Daddy? And I was like, I think it's just his thing.
Yeah, I think you can go with that. I don't think that in my knowledge, I don't think. Oh boy, I better start thinking about these things.
He passed Barry Sanders and got me thinking about the most rushing touchdowns in a season. So I wanted to do see if you could give me the top 13 guys since 1995. There's two guys are
the most rushing touchdowns in a season.
Top 13.
Yes. So two guys are on there twice. So I'm looking for 11 names here.
You guys can just throw out answers too. By the way, from over there in the peanut gallery, you can just yell them because.
Wait, hold on. Top rushing yards in a season.
Top rushing touchdowns.
Touchdowns. Oh.
Jamal Lewis.
Jamal Lewis is not in
Really?
the top 13 here. Yes, Marshall Faulk is in there.
So is anybody? Hang on. Is it
Carson say Marshall Faulk? He is on there.
Are there same names or is it 13 different names?
There are 11 different names. Two guys are twice.
Thank you. So he said
11.
Marshall Faulk and he said Amon Green.
Amon Green not on there.
All right. How about LaDainian Tomlinson?
Yes, LT has the record 28 rushing touchdowns back in 2006, and he's on there twice.
AP makes a lot of sense. That's a good answer.
Adrian Peterson is on there. He has 18.
Is this ever? In the history?
Since 1995.
Since 95. How about Edgerrin James?
Edgerrin James is not on
How about
the list.
Jerome Bettis?
Not Jerome Bettis.
Is Ezekiel Elliott on there?
Zeke is not on there.
Le'Veon Bell.
Not Le'Veon Bell.
Wow. All right, we're doing really well. This is breathtaking. Jamal Charles.
Not Jamal Charles.
Priest Holmes.
Yes, Priest Holmes. He is third, 27, tied for second.
Aaron Jones.
With 27. Aaron Jones not on there.
Maurice Jones-Drew.
Oh, MJD. Good
No
answer.
MJD.
Fred Taylor.
No Fred Taylor. There is a Taylor.
Jonathan
Thank
Taylor.
God.
JT.
Jonathan Taylor did it last year, 18.
Marshawn Lynch.
No Marshawn Lynch.
Eddie George?
No Eddie George.
We are sports people, guys.
God damn. McCaffrey, that's a good one.
Yeah, he is a good one, but he's
But
not
it
on
would
here.
be more combined touchdowns. Chris Johnson. Oh, Derrick Henry.
No Derrick Henry. No Chris Johnson.
Wow.
Who the hell
I
is
thought
on this list?
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley.
No Saquon.
David
David Johnson.
I had almost forgotten that he existed, if I'm being honest
No
with
Matt
you.
Forte.
Arian Foster.
No Arian Foster.
DeMarco Murray.
Frank
No,
Gore.
DeMarco
Jesus.
No,
Oh,
Frank Gore.
damn it.
I was gonna
Terrell Davis.
Yes, Terrell Davis, 1998
Okay.
with the Broncos.
Yeah,
Yes, they're stars.
Christ.
That's why I thought you might be able to get it. I guess
Curtis Martin.
one of them's like a little obscure, I guess. No Curtis Martin.
Thurman Thomas.
No Thurman Thomas.
Emmett Smith.
Emmett
Oh my
Smith
God, he's just
twice.
throwing names out there.
LeGarrette Blunt, 16 with the Patriots.
LeGarrette Blunt?
Wow.
Or excuse me, 18. 18. He had 18 in 2016.
Random one to be on the list. Yeah.
Alfred Morris. I know he was big.
No Al Morris.
DeMarco Murray. Did we say him already?
Yeah, no
We did.
DeMarco Murray.
LaShawn McCoy.
No LaShawn McCoy. All right, I guess I'll start.
Yeah. what
2005, this guy had 27. 2005.
That doesn't help me in any way.
You don't remember that?
2005?
I'm trying to
Yeah,
think where I was
NFC.
Oh.
Sean Alexander. Sean Alexander, tied with Priest Holmes.
He was MVP.
Priest Holmes on there twice. You said him. You said Terrell Davis. Yeah.
What
Sean
else?
Alexander.
Hold on. What else am I missing?
Washington running
Clinton
back.
Portis.
In 96, not Clinton Portis.
The hell am I supposed to remember who was Washington's running back
Terry
in
Allen.
96? Sure. He, by the way, briefly a Baltimore Raven.
2005 with Kansas City.
Larry Johnson.
Larry Johnson, yes.
All right, that's the list. We got 11.
Sorry, we have one. There is one
Oh
more.
my
I
God!
misspoke. In 2008 with the Carolina Panthers.
D'Angelo Williams?
D'Angelo Williams had 18 rushing touchdowns.
This is a little bit more random than you presented it
Yeah.
as.
All
This is a bit more
Sorry.
random than you,
Thought we
you
knew our running
presented like it
backs.
was all nothing but star running backs. And I got LeGarrette Blunt,
He's a
Terry
star.
Allen, Larry. He had a great
Yeah.
He had a great
year.
1
career.
year. That's all. You just need to
Garrett
be
Blunt
good for
was
1 year.
He
That's
wasn't
really
a
all you need.
star. He was.
He was in the league for 11
be good for
years.
You
1 year.
presented
Won, like, 3
the
Super
argument
Bowls.
that he was a star. He
I
wasn't a
think he's a
star.
star.
How many times did LeGarrette Blunt go to the Pro Bowl?
It doesn't. Pro Bowls don't matter.
How many times was he a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro?
I can't answer that right now. I can find
Okay,
out,
get
though.
the answer, and then tell me if you think he was a star. If he was a star, is the
I
question.
can't say he's a star for being most known for punching a Boise
That
State
is
player.
also true. Yes, when he was at Oregon. That's also probably the thing he was singularly most known for. LeGarrette Blunt. By the way, the number is the same as me.
We'll see.
0
How many Super Bowls does he
all-time Pro Bowls. A lot of guys are on Super Bowl. Anthony Allen won a Super Bowl in Baltimore. Is he a star? Come on, man. You said stars. LeGarrette Blunt combined
very good.
0 Pro Bowls and 0 All-Pros.
When it
What does
comes
that
to
add
running
up
backs,
to? What does that add up to?
The longevity of his career.
You said
He's
stars.
in the upper
You
tier
just
of running
have to
backs.
be good for 1 season. That's it. You just
I
have to be good
understand
for
to make
1
the list,
season,
but he
apparently.
said it was a list of stars.
Okay.
He said that. Jerk.
I mean, in 2016,
You're
he
a
broke
liar.
fantasy football.
Nobody's
so
saying he didn't have a good year. Son of a bitch.
won a Super Bowl.
What advice do you have for Griffin, who's also an aspiring broadcaster? What advice do you have for him? Don't lie.
No, you're doing
Don't
great.
lie. Stop lying.
No, I like people that debate, sparking debate.
This
good.
is debate. You're just an a-hole.
This is yeah, no, totally.
God, I hate you. Thank you. Good job. Nice tidbit. Appreciate your hard work.
Thanks. 6,000 career yards.
You
on the
can.
ground.
Ah!
Very durable. Never missed more than 4 games in
No,
a season.
if you had said it's a list of guys who are very durable and never missed more than 4 games in a season
and played 11
you wouldn't be
years.
lying. You said it was
Most
stars,
running backs can't say that.
and it was like Garrett Blunt and Terry Allen.
Like
You son of a bitch.
We're going to Canton when he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I don't think we have to worry about making that trip. I think we're going to be all right. Oh, God damn it. You can cash in on the Ravens-Bengals primetime wildcard game. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offer. Sign up and bet $20 with Caesars Sportsbook and automatically get $100 in additional free bets. Just bet $20 and get another $100 to play with. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers now and start winning. Here's what's coming up tonight. Nothing much locally. The Maryland women are in action tonight. They're on TV, in fact, as they travel out to Indiana. So you can check out the Terps as they take on the Hoosiers. 6:30 on Big Ten Network. Michigan, Iowa, 7 o'clock on ESPN2. FS1's got Minnesota, Ohio State at 6:30. The rest of the college basketball, find at GlennClarkRadio.com. ESPN, Maple Leafs, Red Wings at 7. TNT, Celtics, Nets, 7:30. Mavs, Lakers at 10. By the way, really nice evening for me. I sat down last night and I said, Suns are on TV tonight. They just got a big win over the Warriors the night before. Man, I'm going to spend my night with the Phoenix Suns. And then I looked up and they were down by like 1,000 points within a quarter because they have nobody playing. I have no idea how they beat the Warriors the other night with Steph back. It's got to be embarrassing for Golden State. Rough evening. The Sony Open round 1 is at 7 o'clock on Golf Channel. You never miss that, obviously, the history of the great Sony Open. That's everything else, GlennClarkRadio.com. Non-sports, anything?
Candace Parker's on Celebrity Jeopardy.
Ooh,
tonight.
I love Candace.
I do like Candace Parker, but I don't think it's going to get me to tune into Celebrity Jeopardy.
The Climb series premiere on HBO Max.
What
Jason
in the
Momoa
F?
is hosting a rock climbing competition. Winner gets $100,000.
You can put anything on TV now. Literally anything on
Well,
TV.
in fairness, you could put Jason Momoa in a lot of things, and I'll probably look
That's
at it.
probably
He's a
true.
very handsome gentleman.
Including The Traitors, also a new series, a reality competition show on Peacock.
By the
It's
way,
like,
I don't think I'm ever again going to say that somebody isn't a good-looking gentleman after the lesson that I learned from my faux pas yesterday. I think I will just leave those thoughts to myself. Yeah, I'm either going to say you're good-looking or I'm not going to say anything at all about your looks. That's just what I'm going to do moving forward.
The Traitors, it's like Big Brother meets Survivor meets Real Housewives. They're in a Scottish mansion, and they're competing against each other. Something.
I said highlights.
Velma series premiere on HBO Max.
Mindy Kaling. I did see that.
Velma
Oh,
series.
I
Yes.
do enjoy. I'm
Yeah.
a
I like
Mindy
Mindy
Kaling
Kaling.
fan.
There's
yes.
at least mixed expectations.
Didn't
I
they
guess, going
keep
into
doing the Mindy Project on like a streaming service after it was taken off of Fox for a little while?
I think it's on Hulu.
It was on Hulu,
Yeah, I
but like they did new episodes, right? Even after
I
it was
think
off
so,
of Fox.
Yeah, I remember watching.
I
it.
enjoyed
I
that
liked
program.
That
I
show,
did.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
And then Vikings Valhalla season 2 on Netflix.
I don't even know what that is.
Vikings. It's like a very I don't know. It looks like a very well done show.
I just
Some
feel
people
very-
like
That's what he
This
said.
whole
That's
segment-
people
the
that
big,
have seen it.
The
say
big
it's
sell
good.
is. Thank God there's somebody my age that's in
No, this
here
whole
on this
segment
show.
made me feel very uncool.
Yeah, I don't
gonna
know
lie
what
to you.
any of these things.
I don't care about much of this.
Yeah,
either,
I'll watch the
but-
Lakers.
I do
games,
like
that's pretty much
that we asked Griffin about Vikings Valhalla, and he said, "I think it's really well done." That told us nothing.
It's
Is it a
well-done
reality
show.
program?
Well,
Is it a
it's like- I think
documentary?
it's-
Is it a?
It's almost like Game of Thrones, but like
Okay, all right,
with
thank you.
Vikings.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you. Is it the Vikings that this man likes? Is it the Minnesota Vikings? Minnesota
It's not
Vikings
the Skull
Valhalla?
Vikings.
Said Netflix, so I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. I got a new man on the Minnesota Vikings. That's
Lizzo says that.
Thank you. I appreciate my God, nothing from you guys. All right, Carson, you're on Twitter at Carson Ware with an I, correct? Carson had to run out and do errands for us today. I apologize. We'll do Young Utes tomorrow, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, we'll
I
do
actually
Young
have a
Utes
really good one that you're gonna like.
Ooh,
I'm gonna tune
well,
in.
I'm
I
looking
need- now
forward to
I definitely
that.
need
Find
to
out
know
what's
these
going on.
things.
It was good news for me because otherwise I have no idea what young people care about whatsoever at all. Velma, obviously, they're big into their Velma. That's what the young Utes are talking about these days. Thank you to Charles. Charles, you're on social.
Charles AP 28 on IG.
All right, because he's an Adrian Peterson. We always have to remember that Adrian Peterson fan. Thank you for your hard work. Melissa, it was great to do this.
Pleasure.
We're
is
going to
all
need to do this
mine.
again.
Yes, for sure.
At Melissa Y. Kim on social.
Yes.
And game day on Sunday.
Yes, we're very excited.
What time does everything start?
Oh, I should know this. Let's see. We have an 8:20 kick, so I will be on starting at 7:50.
7:50 for game day on WBAL and 98 Rock.
That is correct.
Very
and
good.
on BaltimoreRavens.com.
There you go. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Thanks today to Dr. David Chao. Thanks to Ken Zalis for stopping by. Thanks also to, Mike Golic. Yes, thank you, Mike Golic. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. On the program tomorrow, Stan the Fan is in studio. Our buddy Rocky Boyman from out in Cincinnati is back with us. Bo Smolka will preview the game. And Dave Ginsburg unveils his Baseball Hall of Fame ballot tomorrow, so we can have a spirited debate. He did tell me, once again, that son of a bitch, he didn't vote for Mike Messina. What the hell's wrong with him? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Unbelievable. Thanks today to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Baltimore County Police Department, Problem Gambling, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Maryland Jockey Club, Great Eights Memorabilia, the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, Maryland Vascular Specialist, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, UMBC Athletics, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Thursday night. Go Maryland women. Duke sucks. We wrap up today's show. Segment number 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show with Kyle Hamilton from this week at Guilford Hall Brewery. Segment number 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show live from Guilford Hall Brewery in Station North. Rita and Glenn, Tyus, and Kyle Hamilton tonight with you. Pressbox and 105.7 The Fan. Maryland Vascular Specialists, their team of surgeons is Maryland's leaders in ethical arterial procedures. Thank you to them for making the show possible. Tyus, I just want to take a minute, and we'll do this, and then we'll try to do some more fun, lighthearted stuff. Obviously, it was a scary week last week in the NFL, but it kind of turned into one of the most incredible celebrations that we've seen in the NFL. Can you just kind of take me through what was going on in your mind last Monday as you saw everything unfold and where everybody in this league's hearts were as we had a couple of really scary days when it came to Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, honestly, I was at home. I was really just watching Netflix, going through my shows, and I decided that I was going to watch the game. I was like, oh, we probably going to play one of these teams coming up, playoffs or whatever. So I was like, I might as well watch the game because I normally don't watch other teams play. So I decided to turn it on. And the first thing that came up was the Bills all in the huddle together praying. I was like, hold on, what's going on here? Like, something serious happened? So then I don't think they were showing what happened, so I went to Twitter, of course, and then they pretty much had that as the top headline, and it showed what happened. And then I seen the hit. I wasn't sure, like, what exactly happened, but I seen the way that he got hit, and I was like, oh, it must have been like some with his chest or whatever, and then he fell back, and I was like, oh, man, this is serious. So then I know that they had a call or conference call or whatever, and they talked about it, and they told me how really serious it was as far as the procedure and what they did to kind of help him out at that moment. And I was like, man, this is crazy, like, for this to just happen, like, in this moment, this time on national TV. But like you said, when stuff like that happens, you know, it's great to see everyone come together and understand that we are humans, we are people, that this game, that life is more than this game that we play. And just to see the support that he had from everyone around the world, and to see how much money he raised for his foundation, man, it was crazy, man. So it's just great. But for the most part, well, the most important thing is him being healthy, him being able to recover, you know, and that was pretty much the highlight of that entire moment, is just him being able to get the updates of it all, just him being able to move his fingers, being able to talk, being able to breathe better and just recover. And I'm just happy to see that, along with what the NFL is doing with the pray for, you know, Damar and everything like that. So that's great to see.
I mean, we don't know Damar Hamlin at all, right? Like, we had no connection to him. I'm telling you, there were multiple times in the last 5 days where I was straight up in tears.
Yeah.
Like, watching the press conference and talking about him, you know, did we win? Like, did you feel any of that, like, kind of almost absurd emotion where, like, this isn't my, you know, guy, this isn't my teammate, but, like, it just felt like the whole world was in an emotional place watching this dude over the last few days.
No, it was tough, man, because, like, right before I went to sleep, they showed the interview with the coaches and everyone. You could just see how heartbroken, just him just breaking down, like, in tears just with what happened. But, you know, God works in great ways, man, and, you know, I pray for him every single day, just like, Lord, just, you know, place his hands on him, just help him recover, just, you know, in the smallest ways. And we was able to see that happen, and you just see, you know, even with TV, you just see how well, you know, God is getting out there as far as everyone praying, everyone just, you know, writing good messages to him, and just all the prayers, man. It just shows you how good God is, and just what he's been able to do, not only for him, but for us as a world, just being able to come together as good people to do something for a greater purpose.
Well, there really was a lot of that, right? Like, we fight about everything, man. Like,
the most pettiest stuff that don't even matter, you know, but this man could have lost his life, you know what I'm saying? And there's more important things out here than what this world gives us, and us as people to come together as one to pray for this man, knowing that he's out here, you know, playing for the fans, he's playing for the people who's watching, he's playing for his teammates along with everyone else. And to see him go through that situation, you don't pray on that for no one, you know what I'm saying?
No doubt, man. No
just
doubt.
to see him back healthy, man, it's great to see.
Can't say it better. I can't say it better.
My favorite thing is watching him pass on the love, because he created a T-shirt for the doctors at University of Cincinnati at the hospital. So, you know, he wants to give money back to the hospital that took care of him, and people have been buying these shirts, and so that is a continuing, process of like people just showing love, you know what I mean? Because if it wasn't for the first responders that were there, if it wasn't for the medical, professionals that was there, we don't know what would have happened. So I just love that he was like, hey, I know I'm still here, but I want to give it back. I want to pay it forward by doing something for somebody else. And that says a lot about him as a human being. So that was good to see, too.
Either you guys feel like the need to kind of like walk by your own trainers and be like, hey, I want to thank you. We probably don't do that enough. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
absolutely, man. These people is working from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. at night, and people don't notice that. People just move past them and just, get whatever they need and move on. But man, these people really put in the time and effort to make sure that we're healthy so that we can play this game that we all love and enjoy. So, you definitely got to give shout-outs to them, especially, for the Bills trainer who, made moves in that moment where he had probably less than 10 seconds to make a move as this man has lost his life. So to be able to be trained and be ready for this type of moment when what is like 1 in a million chance to ever happen, and you're ready for that moment, that just shows you the type of people that we take for granted. And we need to show them people love for that.
Heroes. I mean, flat out heroes. Yeah. And it's time for a lot of us to sign up and go get CPR trained. It's something that my wife and I had a whole conversation about it. We're going to do it. Like, it's time for a lot of us to step up as humans and say, what if we're in that spot? We need to do the same thing and be ready and be prepared. So we're going to do that. All right, appreciate you, man. Yeah. That's a heavy subject. Appreciate you and your words on that. We are out here at Guilford Hall Brewery. It's the Tyus Bowser Show. It's also brought to you by Grade 8's Memorabilia. Grade 8's is proud to announce they have partnered with Devin Duvernay as an exclusive 2023 charity partner. Devin's going to be out in the community throughout the year, participating in all charity events with Grade 8's. If you or your company would like to partner with Grade 8's and Devin Duvernay, I talk for a living, email Chris, K-R-I-S, at grade8smemorabilia.com. That's grade 8's with the number 8. Kyle, we know you're the son of a basketball player.
That I am, yep.
Was it always football for you, or was it ever like the plan for you to follow in your dad's footsteps?
I've told this story a few times, but growing up, I'm still pretty lanky now, being in the NFL. Like, you should have seen me in high school. So I was a string bean. It was always basketball, getting up at 6 a.m., getting shots up. My older brother, he hooped at UPenn, so he played in college. My dad played overseas for 15 years. I was born over there because of that. But, yeah, so my mom wanted me to quit football because I had a few basketball options my freshman year, and so I begged her to play my sophomore year, and I said I'd quit after my sophomore year. So sophomore year came and went. I played pretty well, but I was going to go to my head coach and quit in high school. But he'd been there for like 30 years. I was scared to go as a 15-year-old, scared to go up to him and tell him I'm quitting. So I delayed it, procrastinated for like a week, and within the week I was procrastinating, FAU came to school and offered me for football. And I was like, I thought they were offering me for basketball at first. He was like, no, I'm the football coach. I was like, oh, I didn't know I was college good. Like, I knew I was good, but I didn't know I was good enough to play in college for real. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And then Louisville offered me the same week.
There might be something here.
Yeah, so my mom was like, all right, you can keep playing. As long as I don't have to pay for college, you just figured it out. But yeah, it was basketball at the start, but I've always loved football, and basketball kind of became a chore for me just because I was doing it so much from such a young age that football kind of became my release. And I think that's why I fell in love with it.
You mentioned, your dad played basketball, and he played overseas, and I believe he coaches people as well, right? So how did he take that when you decided that football was your passion? Because I always feel like parents have this ideal of what they want us to do in their head, and when we don't do it, it's like, you know what I mean? Was he accepting of you saying, okay, I'm taking football over basketball?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like I said, my parents were like, whether you're hooping, playing football, you got academic scholarship, as long as I'm not paying for college, I'm cool with it. So whichever route I needed to go, he was cool with it. Obviously he'd love to see his son do what he did, but at the same time, I have my own passions, he has his, and he was accepting of that.
Crazy to think about like how close it came though for like none of this happening, right? Like you're talking about a matter of days.
Yeah, it's really butterfly effect type
right?
stuff. Yeah.
Like it is really wild to think about it. Now we got to get to the important question because Tyus, of course, is a hooper. We've talked about it all year. Has it happened?
Not hard enough to because I mean nobody want to do something dumb and end up getting hurt playing basketball, but. We haven't had serious runs yet.
Not yet.
But who would win?
After the Super Bowl, we can get that going.
We'll definitely find out. We'll definitely find that out.
I've asked this question a lot this year, Tyus, so I'm going to give it to Kyle. If you had to put together a 5 of your teammates, would Tyus be one of the 5?
From what I've seen, yeah. Just from what I've seen and heard, I heard Tyus can go. Put me in there, obviously. I put Tyus in there. Apparently, Dafe can hoop a little bit. He's got size.
Yeah. Wait a second. Did y'all see Tyus' shrug?
I guess so. I would throw him in there, too.
Yeah, I'd throw him in there.
Wait a second. I just saw.
I feel like you had to be coerced into putting him on your team.
Man, he be saying that he can hoop, but he's just athletic. He's an athletic guy.
That is true.
So that's why I can put him on the team.
That was not convincing, bro. That was not convincing.
I gotta see something. That's all. I gotta see something.
All right. Who else would be in the 5, Kyle?
You gotta throw Calais in there. You just need a big body. He just need to clog at the paint, get rebounds, and kick it out. You don't need to score. We'll handle all of that. I don't know who else can play guard. I don't think there's any real DBs or receivers that can hoop like that.
Really?
Guard. Can you? JK can't hoop. JK looked like a basketball.
I heard about Rashad Bateman.
Bate. Yeah, I forgot about Bate.
All right.
Bate can go. Yeah.
All right.
Somebody said Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews was a hooper. He was a legit basketball player. Absolutely.
I can see that.
He was legit.
Then Dolph might not be on the team.
He might be.
Just as Tyus would have preferred anyway. So.
Yeah.
I'll throw in Prochet in there too.
Pro.
I think.
All right.
Yeah, pro.
Right.
Maybe we do got a good little G League team.
Yeah, we got a
nice right? Not a bad group, right? You can go run with some guys. Speaking of other sports, Tyus, a couple weeks ago, you were caught at practice kicking around the soccer ball. Now, we talked a lot about soccer over the last couple of seasons. We know you love soccer. Like, do you do this regularly? Do you use juggling as like a regular part of your warm-up routine?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, they probably see me on the sidelines or whatever during walkthroughs, and I'm just juggling the ball with my feet. But for the most part, that's kind of like something I like to do to kind of just get away or just, kind of burn time just to work on that. So, yeah, I do that for fun.
Everybody was really impressed. Do you happen to know like what your personal record is for touches?
No, I don't. But there's been moments where like I'll after walkthroughs, I'll pretty much try to juggle the ball 100 yards, and probably the most I went is probably like 45, 50 yards.
Okay.
Just not dropping the ball.
But you're still trying to build up to.
Yeah, I'm trying to build up.
It's like a personal goal of yours. Win the Super Bowl, 100 yards worth of juggling.
Yeah.
In whatever order.
Exactly. No, we want the Super Bowl first.
Oh, okay. All right.
Super Bowl, and then we got plenty of time to work on that.
Don't worry about the juggling after that.
Yeah.
Your cleats from New Year's. Did y'all see Tyus's gold cleats?
Oh. I know. I've always wore those gold
Have
cleats.
you really?
Yeah.
I've never seen these before.
He wore those in New Orleans, I think.
Yeah,
Did he?
Yeah.
I wore them in New Orleans.
No,
Did you?
that was Houston. Houston wore them.
But I wore those last year. Like I wore them against Cleveland when I had the tackle. For
I know you're not going to believe this. I'm not paying 100% attention to your cleats at all times, right?
Of course. Which is fine. But that wasn't the first. I wore those plenty of times.
Fine, we'll just move on then. We'll just go on to the next.
It ain't like that. I love those cleats though. I wear those for special occasions. So.
Where did they
So
come?
playoff. I assume if it's special occasions, I assume we will be seeing them on Sunday.
Just might.
Okay.
Have to watch and see.
Do you have special cleats for special occasions other than the gold ones? Like, these are my good playoff cleats. These are my good rivalry cleats.
I just ordered a new pair of cleats They come in tomorrow, so I'm gonna test those out for practice and see how they go.
So they might replace the gold cleats as the.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right,
we'll see
all
how
right. We'll just have to pay attention. I need somebody. Trippy, you're responsible for finding out. I need you to send us a picture before the game. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Kyle, are you a kicks person? Let me go back this way. Give me you get you got your first round money, right? Like you got a legit contract.
Got a little something. Yeah.
Was there something that you did for yourself? Like was there one thing that you were particularly wanting to have?
I got my mom a Tesla.
I mean, that's wonderful. Yeah. Like that's a wonderful thing for you to do for your mom.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you. I haven't really. I got a house.
I mean, that doesn't suck.
I got some new golf clubs. That's
okay.
I got some new golf clubs.
There was something that you would really wanted to do, and you said, "This, I get that first check. I'm gonna go out and get myself some clubs."
Yeah, it wasn't crazy expensive, but I mean, it took a little bread.
Tyus is he loves sneakers, and so are you a sneakerhead, or not even a sneakerhead? Because I hate the term. Because I'm not a sneakerhead, but I love sneakers. I have a lot of sneakers. Mm-hmm. So did you start adding to your collection, or are you just kind of like, nah, I just like a specific type of shoe?
I'm pretty generic when it comes to shoes. I wear the same cleats every game, for real. I don't even be changing my cleats every game.
What about regular sneakers when you walk down the street?
He be wearing some basic stuff.
What you wearing now?
I actually got some off-whites on tonight.
Let's dig out some off-whites.
But if you see him I'll be noticing the kicks.
Is he like me? Like you're like, I might have to just buy the man some shoes?
No, he ain't that bad. Like he'll buy him some shoes, but for the most part, he just come in comfortable. Like whatever he got, he just wearing.
So no Jordan 1s, basically. If we talking about comfort, you ain't wearing those.
I'm wearing Uggs.
Yeah, he wearing some
slides. I have so much respect for this.
Yes.
So much respect.
Prison slides, everything. It don't matter what it is.
Has
Crocs, I wear Crocs too. Yeah.
Has anyone walked up to you and just been like, bro, what are those?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, they especially walking into games, because I'll be wearing this to games. Like I just wear whatever. And so dudes, I walk in the locker room and all the guys be like, bro, you got to change that. Like,
You're in the league now, man. What we doing?
I'm like, I don't know. I came to play a football game, so I don't know what we're doing.
Respect that. Y'all make some noise for Kyle Hamilton. We got to let Kyle get out of here. Tyus going to stick around for a third segment. Kyle, what can we plug for you, man? Social, anything like that you got going? I know you're not really doing the podcast anymore, but anything at all that we can plug for you?
I am. So this past season, I did for every interception the Ravens got.
Why?
Yeah, I donated $1,000 for each interception. It's called Picks for Kids. Thank you, appreciate it. So donating to the Y here in Baltimore, just help with after-school programs, give kids a place to go after school. Their parents are busy. So anything helps over there, or any causes, just trying to help out families whose parents are working and kids don't have nowhere to go after school. So plug that. Just if you have anything to put towards that any time that you can go over there and help out, just do that.
Well done, man. Well done. That is awesome. That's so great. All right, we come back in. Somebody got paid this week, and we got to talk about what the rules are for when somebody gets paid, like what they have to do, how that all works. We'll talk about that next. We are live at Guilford Hall Brewery. Pressbox 105.7 The Fan. It's the Tyus Bowser Show.